What's up, Rupert? How you feeling, man? You're all sick.
Yeah, man.
What's going on? Like burning the candle at both ends? You've been all focused on like, I'm going to make the A main at DNC. That's all that matters. I'm practicing till I make it. And now you're all sick.
Yeah, because I have to make the main directly after qualifying because I can't bump from the B.
Why can't you bump from the B?
Yeah, I never do. I'm the first guy out. Usually, last year I was worse than that.
Last year you was absolute shite. Let's be realistic.
Yeah.
Nitro is the glory. Welcome to the No Name RC podcast with your host tonight, Keenan White, aka Lefty the Great, and if you are unlucky, the Finnish village idiot, JQ. This is the RC podcast with no name, but plenty of content. So sit back, relax, and get ready for some serious bench racing.
Yes, indeed. Nitro is the glory, but E-Buggy pays the bills. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode number 62 of the No Name RC podcast. I'm your host, Keenan White, a.k.a. Lefty the Great, but you guys already know that, but I like saying that. I don't know why. But anyway, 62. And our guest this week is Frank Root from TLR, and it was actually a really good chat. I've never spoken to Frank in my life, and we got to talking. You know, he messaged me one day, and we got to talking, and I said, "Hey, you should come on the podcast." And he said, "Yeah, sure." And he's a busy dude, so I appreciate his time for coming on. So thank you, Frank, and I hope you guys enjoy that. Enjoy the talk with Frank. Smart dude, works in the industry right there, and I appreciate his time, and I appreciate him coming on. And, hey, yeah, you know, we got to talk about that awesome race that I think was extremely awesome. Maybe some people don't think it's as awesome as I thought it was, but we'll get into that later on when I get Rupert on the line. But he's feeling a little bit sick. So that's even why the podcast is late, because Rupert's been he's been in training mode, and he's all super focused on DNC, and is, got these big goals. He's been just practicing, and him and Dagani even went up to like Santa Barbara and all that stuff yesterday, and now he's all sick. So, I've been waiting for him all day, and he's finally available. He's woken up, and it's cool. I know, like, when you get sick, it's kind of bad. Like, when I get sick, I don't ask my wife. I'm the biggest baby around. She has to do everything for me. So, yeah, I'll be calling out Rupert here in a little bit, but before I go on any further, I'd like to say thank you to all of the No Name RC podcast listeners from around the world who support us and show us some love and show our sponsors some love. Man, we can't do it without you guys. You guys are the reason why we do it. I hope you guys continue to enjoy this podcast. I think everybody really enjoyed the Dagani podcast. Please excuse the audio, but I have a mic for Dagani, and I'm going to take it to him at DNC. And I'm trying my best to get him to come on at least once a month, because Dagani has endless stories, and he should tell one of them every month or at least every 2 months. So, yeah, and that podcast is pretty popular. So thank you to Greg. And, yeah, we awesome stories. Awesome stories. But thank you guys for the support, man. And it's greatly appreciated. Also, I want to shout out to the patrons on Patreon. I appreciate everybody that signed up. Honestly, that actually helps really, I'm not joking, pay the bills here at the house. Got this AC going and all that type of stuff. And, electricity is expensive here in the DR. I love it here, but electricity is expensive. It needs to come down a little bit. But I appreciate that. And, yeah, I got a giveaway for all the Patreons this week. I'm going to do the video, and you get some really swag. So, yeah, thank you, because you guys go the extra mile and help pay these bills and help keep this podcast going. So I appreciate it. And you know what? Thank you to our sponsors, because without them, they help pay bills too and get cool equipment, help pay to go to DNC next week, which I'm really excited about. And Beach RC is officially on now. Even got them a nice, cool intro. So shout out to RCMX Online, Beach RC, Tekno RC, Papa Willie's Traction Tonic, BK Servers, RC Raceworks, and of course, JQ Racing. And lots of love to my JQ Racing dudes, man, all around the world. Love you guys. It's always good to talk to you. And racing's starting to heat up and everybody's getting ready. So I'm all excited over Montpellier and obviously DNC next week. But there actually is a big, it's a race, but it's also a multi-genre RC event going on in Pennsylvania at Motorama. And I guess it's more than just RC. I'm not too familiar with it. I need to look more into it. I know it's all electric, but they got I saw the picture today, a badass track for electric racing, 8 scale. They have scale, they have dirt oval, who knows, whatever. They got scale trail. So I'll be paying attention to that this week as well because all that type of stuff interests me. You know, I love RC. So that's all good. And good luck to everybody at Motorama and have fun. But man, we got the Super Bowl of RC coming up here soon. And we had a badass race in Montpellier. And, I guess I better call up Rupert and see how he's doing, make sure he's still alive. And we're going to talk about that all. So give me a second.
NNRC listeners, are you currently having trouble trying to get the power down to the ground? Well, don't you worry. Papa Willie's Traction Tonic has you covered for all your RC tire traction needs. Whether you race on carpet, concrete, dirt, loose, dry, slick, or high grip surfaces, Papa Willie's Traction Tonic cures poor traction. Benefits of using Papa Willie's Tonic Traction is going to be more traction, long-lasting, light tire wear, sweet scent, clean application, fast acting, fresh fill. Papa's Willie Traction Tonic is also safe on foam inserts and does not deteriorate tire glue. Find and follow Papa Willie's Traction Tonic on Facebook and Instagram. You can also visit them at www.papawillies.net. Use the promo code NNRC at checkout for 10% off. Prepare for victory with the one and only Papa Willie's Traction Tonic.
What's up, Rupert? How you feeling, man? You're all sick.
Yeah, man.
What's going on? Like burning the candle at both ends? You've been all focused on I'm going to make the A main at DNC. That's all that matters. I'm practicing till I make it. And now you're all sick.
Yeah, because I have to make the main directly after qualifying because I can't bump from the B.
Why can't you bump from the B?
I never do. I'm the first guy out. Usually last year I was worse than that.
Last year you was absolute shite. Let's be realistic.
Yeah.
You was all in the Philippines. You wasn't practicing. You wasn't focused. But you've been in America, you've been practicing, you've been 10 scale, you've been at the track, you've been the Cavalieri, everybody else. You're all right. We'll see. But I think you have high aspirations and everybody has dreams. But man, looks like it's a decent European contingent coming over. And of course, all the top American racers. So some stiff competition going in, dude. I think how's your truggy? Is your truggy ready?
Yeah, pretty much.
All right.
So do we know who's going? Do we know what international drivers are going?
Bob Ruffalo, obviously Ronafalk, Robert, Boots.
Is Robert going?
I would think so. Who else does Mugen have?
Haven't you found out this stuff? You should find out this.
I don't know, but he was talking about going Uruguay. He was talking about going Uruguay today. But I would assume he would be there. He will be there. He's been at the last three. I see Thomas Musa is going. That might be a first for him. I've never seen him go before. I haven't heard anything about Canas, but I would assume he's going. Why wouldn't he?
Boots is going.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know who else is going, but that's all right. Angaro, I haven't seen any confirmation, but who else does AE have?
Yeah, he's going.
Yeah. I mean, it'll be him and Spencer. So it's going to be good. It's going to be about the same as last year, minus a few. Like, I don't think Berton's going. And, well, he might, but I doubt it. I wonder if Yao's going. Did Yao go last year? I saw him at Silver State.
Yeah, he went.
Okay. Well, he went 2018 as well. So, yeah, of course, because that's where the whole, yeah. No, I'll say, of course, Yao went because, that's how the whole almost.
Gyro gate.
Yeah, the whole bro almost started. So.
Oh, that too.
Yeah, it's going to be great, dude. It's some great rate. I'm really excited for DNC. Like, I'm really kind of upset that I am not out there now. Like, it's usually for the last 2 years I've been out there. Usually for the last 2 years I've been out there for a week before. But I really couldn't do that this time. And I didn't really feel like sleeping in a tent under an underpass or overpass because you don't have any room for me.
There's a lot of people like that here now, so
I know, but I don't really
fit in.
I don't know. Like, not my thing, sleeping in tents and stuff like that, dude. Like, if we go camping, yes, like, camping, like up in the nature, yes. But not like, no, not camping in tents to go race RC cars. But this is a good thing about, like, this is whole part of DNC is like going out for the weekend before and practicing, So I am missing that. I mean, even you and Dagani went to Santa Barbara yesterday, and we didn't even get to go there last year because it was rained out. So, yeah.
Yeah, that track is so nice.
Is it? Oh, man. And it's so beautiful there in Santa Barbara. That's what I like, too. So
I have to go there in March for a weekend or a few days during the week.
And they have some great tacos.
Probably during the week is better. Cheaper hotels, less people.
Yeah. Well, it's a beautiful area. It's a shame that track doesn't get used more by the other, like the SoCal people. So I guess when you have Thunder Alley, Revelation, and all that right next, like so close, why drive 2.5, 3 hours to Santa Barbara? But it's a shame. But you and Dagani getting all serious. Yeah, it's good to see. Good to see. I am excited. I've pretty much got my whole Tuesday planned out, my whole trip planned out. It's going to be a busy 6 days. So.
Probably going to go set up camping life on Sunday.
Yep.
And stay there.
Yep.
Throughout the event.
You should contact Joey and try to get our pit spots reserved. So we aren't like no spot for pits. Like, you know that, right?
You have to reserve spots?
I assume so. He has everything planned out.
Okay.
You should know this type of stuff. This isn't your first rodeo, dude.
Yeah, okay.
Useful. Useless as tits on a bone, I tell you. Anyway, Joseph, I think we'll wait till Wednesday when we'll do a podcast. Well, actually, the plan is to do a whole Facebook live podcast. Obviously, we gotta be you and I, and maybe we'll get 2 other guests on board, and we'll do some call-ins as well. So should be good. Maybe we'll do that like about 4 or 5.
Are you sure you know how to do that?
I know how to do all of that. So you just have for Wednesday. Make sure you have my White Claws ready. Okay?
So you can go to the store if you want.
No, because you said you was gonna give me buy my White Claws and Modelos if I have it all set up, and I already have it already set up. So you just owe me that. So have it ready, okay?
I'm in no rush to get that.
Because you're losing. You're losing. That's why. Renee,
I don't think so. I hope I lose, but I'm sorry, but I just don't think so.
All right. But it's gonna be cool. I think it's gonna be awesome. I'm probably gonna have to bum some of your internet, and we'll make it all work. So, we'll make our picks there because I don't know what the track's gonna look like. We ain't really too sure who's all going, but it is pretty cool because I see like Hot Racers doing a test day. I just saw that today. They're doing a test day they're inviting people. Like they announced it on Facebook. Come try out their tires, I guess.
I'm gonna go.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go try their tires. Hopefully, get some free tires for the race.
But you have tried their tires though.
Not in America, actually.
Oh, okay. Well,
Aren't these made in America now?
yes, they are.
Hold on, I haven't tried them.
So Pavitas, Nicola, Ruffalo, Co Ogden will all be there. They'll be at Thunder Alley on Saturday and at Palm Desert on Sunday. So it's good to see. Like everybody's getting in the whole DNC hype, and that's good. Yeah, because this is like, yeah, it's a world year, dude. I'm so excited. Like after Montpellier this past weekend, I'm like super excited. Like that race just, made my nipples hard, man. Jesus. It was so good. Sorry for you. I'm sorry, but that's how I felt after watching that race. Like it just rejuvenated my RC passion for this year. I was, a little bit down and like just a little bit bored, a little burnt out. But when I saw that race, watching that race, just was like, woo! I can't wait. It's going to be a good year of racing. So we'll make our picks for DNC at DNC. I'm really excited to see what Joey does with the track too, because now he's got that big area. He's got plenty of time. You owe me beer for that too, because I'm pretty sure he's going to have that track done. Maybe not the practice track. Practice track, I'm pretty sure he'll be putting pipe in on Tuesday. But the actual track, it's going to be big because that's a big area too.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what the track will look like.
Yeah, I think he's going to go like just make something extreme, which will be good. Which will be good. Right? This is DNC. It should be extreme. So it's going to be good. Can't wait to see. And I don't know. What else? You got anything to add before we move on?
No, nothing.
Yeah. You know what? Somebody complained about your lack of enthusiasm and lack of talking.
Yeah?
Yeah. And I totally 100% agree with him. So spice it up, buddy. So, Montpellier was this past weekend, Joseph. You know how I know this race was good? Because Greg even hit me up and was like, I want to go to this track. And I was like, this track's pretty hard, Greg. No, it's not. I was like, it is. Watch Lutz's track walk. And I sent him the YouTube video to it. And he's like, oh, yeah. This is a European track. I was like, I know. But we had Montpellier this past weekend. Kudos to RC Mag. They did a great job of covering it, even though it was all in French. But they're a French magazine, and it's in France. So why wouldn't it be in French? It's funny. I saw people complaining in like the YouTube chat. Oh, this big race should be in English. Well, it ain't. Like it's in France, and it's a French company covering it. Of course, it's going to be in French. Like the whole world, it's ridiculous. Like I understand. I would like it to be in English too. But I can actually watch the racing and follow the time and then see what's going on. But it was it was great. They changed the layout a lot. No, they didn't change the footprint, but they did change the jumps and stuff a lot from last year.
I never understood about the track, why they have that stupid double coming towards the driver's stand after that slippery concrete corner.
But it's not a double no more.
Basically,
it's like a double.
Spot and the double jumping towards yourself.
But it's not
it's
like
so
a double.
Stupid. I never understood why they don't change that.
Yeah, but it makes it hard. And that polished corner is like what I like. This is what I like about this track. It's like Formula One. You know how like different parts of the track get names? Well, that can be the blue corner of death because it's so slippery and it's there every year. And they extra polished it this year. It looks like. But this is when I think of European racing, this is what I think of back in the day. And this is more 3D than back in the day. But this track has been around for a long time. So it was a great race. We had rain. We had drama. And then we had Canas that just ran away with it all in the final. But he was fast. He was the fastest guy. Well, it was him. I think it was Canas, Boots, and Savoya were battling all weekend, dude, for TQ. But Canas was just on top of everybody. And the seismic tires, seismic tires are supposed to be the best tires for this race, for this track. So,
hot take.
What?
I was watching and Savoia was doing pretty well, but he didn't win. And I'm pretty sure if he had the balls, he would have won.
You know
He
what?
was that good. He was that good
He was
without
good at
balls.
that race.
Imagine how good he would have been with balls.
Well, he kind of faded in the main. He wasn't really not in the main. He as he was, didn't seem to be as fast as he was in qualifying in the main. But, all right. Well, let's start off. I think let's start off with Lutz. So Lutz went to this race, and he's never been to this race. And I think he was telling me that the only other American that I remember that you remember going is Mayfield, and Mayfield finished 7th at this race. So, it's a permanent track. It had a warm up before that Canas went to, and he did well. Does that make a difference? Of course, it makes a difference. But the footprint of the track is still the same as it been for many, many years. But they did change things in the track. Like the track is different. But Lutz, and we talked about it. It was like, yeah, Lutz. You said Lutz would be like 5th, and I was like, yeah, I think that's about right. But man, he didn't even make the main. He didn't even make the semis.
Where was he? Quarterfinal?
Yeah, quarterfinal.
Have you asked him why?
No, I haven't spoke to him, but I think.
See, that's what you need to do. You're a media man.
Well,
now.
I didn't
You
want
need to come here with information for the people.
I'll tell you what. I think I expected Lutz to do much better. I expected him to be in the finals. Okay, I didn't expect him to win it, but I did expect him to be in the finals. I think Lutz kind of, I don't know. I'll talk to him at DNC. I think he kind of mentally screwed himself before he even went to this race, because he had it in his mind. I'm guessing. I heard him. I saw his Facebook post, and it's like, first time on a permanent track. Let's see how this goes. To me, that does not mean confidence. Okay? So in his mind, he's already got it. Like, this isn't a permanent track. Everybody's got an advantage. Like, I don't know what's going to happen here. Then during his track walk, which is really good because his track walk, you actually get to see how hard this track really is. And this track is really hard. And yes, there are people with many, many, many laps on this track. But he kept saying, oh, everybody has so many laps on this track. Everybody has so many laps on this track. And I will say this. His last qualifier, when he needed a really good qualifier, because he didn't seed properly, he was kind of lowered on. And he got the track when it was slow. It finished raining. And kudos to the Montpellier track crew, because they pretty much swept they put oil in the track. So that made the track different from the last time too. But they put oil in the track, and I think the oil stops, if I'm correct, talking to people that use oil, cooking oil, I believe, old cooking oil. The oil stops the water from deeply penetrating the ground, as well as keeps it together, but it makes it slick. So the water kind of puddled up, and they swept it off, and then they threw a fine sawdust, which I thought was sand at first, but I found out that it was sawdust. And they just broomed it, like covered the track in sawdust, and then the track dried out instantly. But obviously the track probably wasn't as fast as it should be, because you're collecting sawdust and a little bit of mud. So Lutz, in his last qualifying, he really needed a good one, did not have the best track. So he was starting 10th in his quarterfinal. John Hazelwood outqualified him by one spot. So
didn't John Hazelwood beat him too?
No. No, he didn't beat him. Because
maybe I was looking at the qualifying results.
Yeah, qualifying. Lutz qualified 40th, dude. I was expecting him to be. Anyway. It was disappointing. I know he's disappointed in his result, but let's talk about his quarterfinal. So him and Lee Martin, Lutz starts in 10th, and then he gets up to a bump position. He might have even got up to 3rd at one point. I can't remember. But him and Lee Martin are 3rd and 4th. And they're like, I guess they're cruising along. And they're like, okay, we're in good spots. We're not going to fight with each other. They're teammates. We're going to go through to the semis. So I'm watching this race. And here comes the white ghost on ghost, white bodied TLR 8X with ghost white flames of Carlos Duras from Portugal. And nobody knows who this guy is, but I know that this dude made the finals last year at this race. This dude, I kind of, like, the camera just got him. And he's like in fifth. And fifth, battling with sixth. And this dude's coming. And I'm like, oh man, this guy's on a mission. And the camera follows him for like 2 laps. And you can see, then you start seeing like Lutz and Martin come in the picture. And I'm like, this dude is going to catch these guys up. And I believe they got Martin and Lutz got into some traffic because traffic was bad. Like the traffic was not pulling over for people. You know, I saw that in the final as well with Runabout. But like these guys are like, yeah, if you want to get across me, you're going to have to fight. So Lee Martin and Lutz, I assume looked like they got in some traffic because the camera was actually following Duras. Dude, this guy was coming. It's like, this guy is going to overtake these guys. And he's going to bump up. And I saw that like, just as he was, the way he was, you know, like you could see that this guy just knew what he knew what he was going to do at this track. He knew everything and he was coming. So anyway, they got caught up in a little bit of traffic. They come around to that slick corner. They take that jump. And then Duras gets around, like Lee Martin and I believe Lee Martin, get around the traffic. And then you have that 180, like you jump the jump after the blue concrete, jump the jump, make that turn, and you had a jump, and then you made a 180 like a chicane with 2 180s. Dude, that guy got around that one car that they struggled to get around. And it was that corner. Did you see this? Did you even see this?
Yeah, I watched it.
This guy, he came in that corner like that 180, and that it had a concrete barrier there, but it was kind of like, it wasn't that, like you could literally people were driving over it, or you could just get your wheels up on it and go around the 180. That dude came, and Lutz went a little bit wide, just a little bit wide. And that guy just came in, threw his front wheels over that concrete barrier, and just tapped Lutz, boop, and said, see you the fuck later. And Lutz he must have fell off, he must have went off the track or flipped. And people's like, it's dirty. But I don't think it was dirty because it was racing like Lutz.
What do you mean? Of course it was dirty. It was like super dirty pass. So. But I don't think it's a penalty because he was fully sideways.
Yes.
And they hit side by side. But it's still dirty. That's not a clean pass when you hit the other guy so he crashes.
No.
Say that's not dirty.
I think he just tapped. Okay, yes, he hit him. But it's like, he didn't plow into him. You know what I mean? I wasn't there. I wasn't there. It didn't look like it on the video. It looked like he just slightly tapped
look at
him.
It again.
He didn't do what Ferrandis done. He didn't do what Ferrandis done to Christian Craig.
Well, he pretty much did, actually.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I'm probably wrong.
And Craig hit side by side. It wasn't a T-bone. It was side by side.
Lutz kind of left the door open a little bit.
Dirty, but you can't give a penalty for that. Like, don't leave the door open.
I agree.
If Lutz had the correct line, then there would have been no room for this guy, Carlos, to pass. But he left the door open, so Carlos threw it in there.
It's kind of like the Truggy race that Ty Tessman won on the last lap. Lutz went a little bit wide last year.
Well, that was a lot cleaner than this.
Oh, yeah, it was. But, I mean, people was like, he should get a penalty. But I was like, nah, it's not. Dude, that was racing. That dude wanted that. And if I have one thing to say to Lutz is stop being so damn nice, man. Wow. I don't know. But that was like, for me, that was one of the moves of the whole weekend. And I was like, wow. Like, I'm screaming at my computer when I saw that. I was like, and then it just, Lutz fell back to like 7. He didn't bump. So I'm fortunate for him, man. You know what? I give him credit, though. He went over there and raced it. I wish more Americans would go over there and race it. But I imagine Lutz was very much disappointed. And I'm pretty sure if I was Lutz, if I could say anything to Lutz, I would say, brush it off. You got DNC coming up. Get ready for that. Shit happens. I wouldn't say that to Lutz because I wouldn't curse to Lutz because, I respect him. But I think he's going to come out at DNC like even more fired up. We'll see. That's what he should take from this. I didn't do well. I'm fired up. I'm going to do well at DNC. So, but it was not very good for him. And then Skidmore and Lee Martin both made the final. So, yeah.
Yeah, they were probably happy it rained in the semis. The UK guys were strong in the rain.
Oh, very strong. You could see that right away.
What the hell? Everyone started going backwards except Skidmore and Lee Martin.
And Ronafel barely made it. Like he suffers in the rain, dude. We don't race
I think
him.
what happened there is that it started raining right at the beginning or right before their race, and then everyone changed tires, but he didn't change tires to the appropriate tire. Like he whatever tire he was on was too hard for the conditions. Other people changed to super soft, and he changed to something else.
He just barely made it in.
Barely made it in.
And then that's like the final. Okay, Canas checked out. Nobody had nothing for Canas. They cut the final down by 15 minutes because of the rain, which I was upset about because I wanted to see a 60-minute race. Because last year, like at the 40-minute mark, I believe, like you had two people drop out. Like Ongaro dropped out and Battier inherited and he dropped out and Boots ended up winning. I can't remember exactly, but you guys should go check out 2019. 2019. Actually, you should check out 2018 Montpellier race and the 2019 Montpellier race. But man, so I tell you what, Ronafalk made Ongaro look slow. Hello.
Yeah, and I actually watching the race videos. Ronafalk's car looked really good.
Yes, he was on a mission.
Always looks good, but now it looked like especially good, like in the long sweepers, and just looked like it was easy to go fast.
Dude, he was on such a mission.
Yeah, I actually messaged him about it, and he said that they did make some changes to the setup. No new parts, just changes to the setup itself. And yeah, his car is better than it has been, more balanced and better in those long sweepers. So it's funny that it was actually visible just from video watching that.
Well, that track you can see good. Cars. That track's fast, and they have so many different off-camber like turns and stuff like that. You can see the suspension working in those cars. And dude, he was on a mission. He got around Boots and Ongaro, and then I think his like Ravaglia wasn't letting him go. Wasn't letting him pass, and then he tried to force the issue of Ravaglia, and he tapped him from behind, and they got caught up in his wing. And then Boots and them guys came across, and he had to go back and get those guys. But I mean, that was the Ronafalk that I saw at RCGP, like on that mission. And if that Ronafalk shows up at DNC, oh boy. But then again, if that Canas shows up, but it's so different. It's so different. I really think, like, I'm not taking away from Canas's win, but I was told all weekend that the Seismic tires were the best tires to be on.
Yeah, but didn't Ronafalk run them too?
I don't know. I haven't. You would know.
I think he did.
Well, then.
He isn't sponsored. He runs the best tires.
Yeah, I was thinking that he can run whatever he wants. So, we shall see. But, I mean, by that time, Canas had just Canas led from start to finish. So
yeah, but Ronafalk started last. So,
yeah, last.
Really, you lose so much time when you start at the back of the pack. Just to get up to second, third, you've already lost, half a lap at the very least.
Mm-hmm. So
it's
but he impressed me. I mean, yes, he didn't win, but it was like that true grit. Like, you know what I mean? I messaged him after and I was like, hey man, congratulations. He's like, yeah, I wasn't even supposed to be in that main, but I did it. And yeah, I feel good going into DNC. So that's good. That's good.
Canas and Boots, their S-Works also looked really good. Yeah. Both of them.
Boots kind of just fell off in the main, though.
Yeah, he said that his tire choice wasn't the best. He just didn't have the grip that the others had.
Mm-hmm. But great race. And you know what? I was excited about this race, and I talked about it on Facebook, and I was promoting it really hard. And a few of the American guys chipped in and said, "Oh, what a boring track. No jumps." I'm like, I just shook my head and I was like, please, go look at Lutz's track walk. And there was one guy, this track was boring. It was flat. No, he was like, I'm sorry, but this is flat and no elevation and no big jumps and all this type of stuff. And I was like, please go look at Lutz's YouTube video, track walk, and you'll see how much elevation and different things this track had. So I think if anybody, I mean, everybody has their opinions, but I think if you say this track wasn't great because it had jumps don't make you fucking faster. Okay? Simple. Those cars were on edge. They were going so fast. I thought it was great. The majority of the people that I talked to enjoyed it. A couple of guys who had never really seen European racing were like asking me about the different surfaces and stuff like that. And that's a good question for you, being as you're European. Why do European? I said because of weather, and I believe that like 8-scale racing was derived like from rallycross, and rallycross has different surfaces. But why do European tracks have different surfaces? Hello?
I don't know. Probably what you said.
It's just always been a thing with Euro tracks. So,
yeah.
Great race. Congratulations to Canis. Congratulations to Runnerfolk and Boots. They all three of those guys go in a high going into DNC. And I'm just, I'm about to spaz out her starting Wednesday. So it's going to be good, man. It's going to be good. I can't wait. And thank you to RC Mag for bringing that to us. So, yes, it wasn't in English, but that's fine. Anything you want to add before we go on to Facebook questions, Joseph?
Nope.
All right. Well, let's go to our Facebook questions, which are brought to you by Beach RC.
BeachRC.com, the racers' one-stop online hobby shop. Choose from all the popular brands and variety in stock with super fast shipping and great customer service. BeachRC.com still has the local hobby shop feel with all the benefits of the internet. BeachRC.com is the exclusive distributor for Ultimate Racing, JQ Racing, Pro Circuit Racing Tires, Nitro Lux Fuels, and Assault RC Performance products. So fill up your cart and check out at BeachRC.com today.
All right. So, Joseph. Toby Hampson. He goes, not so much a question. He says, but a thanks to Joey Q for his comments relating to the 22C carb on the M3 Ultimate motor. He says, that carb on the early B2102s made me quit running OS engines for a hole. It was so demonic. 21J3 on the way. Cheers. Why is that carb better?
I actually haven't studied them yet, except I know that 22C, it's smaller. The inner diameter is smaller. So I haven't checked to see the other differences, but yeah, that's the obvious visual difference you can see. So if you look inside the carb, you can see that it's the hole is smaller, and then it sort of tapers out to the full size on the part that goes inside the engine. So that's if you don't know what the carb is, that's how you can tell. So the 21J, it's just a straight hole.
Okay. Yeah, I understand that.
But yeah, it's always the same. It's funny because so when I discovered this, I talked about this, a ton of people messaged me agreeing with me. And even I spoke with Drake, he agrees, Mayfield agrees. Mayfield actually had that same thing happen to him at a race, where the Buggyland race actually. He had trouble with his engine, couldn't figure it out. And I'm not sure if they figured it out at the race or after the race, but Maxima had sent him engines with that 22C carb, and he thought it was the 21J. So all his engine issues that he was having and trying to figure out what's wrong and struggling at the race was just because it was that 22C carb and he didn't know. So this is like a universal thing. Ben Panic, he also messaged me saying. They bought a ton of old OSs and they just run the old stuff because OS went through a phase of having these, different carbs and different engines that just no one liked, basically. Then when you speak with people, who are responsible sort of for these brands and companies, they just like, no one has ever said this before. They act like what I'm saying is news to them. It's just like, come on, guys, really? Overwhelming amount of messages agreeing with me. And then the companies themselves are like, oh, we've never heard this before. We've tested a lot. That's just fucking, I don't know. That's frustrating. That's why when you do have feedback, you have to be sure about it. Don't say stuff to company owners or brands if it's only a hunch or if you're not sure. Like, go back to back, get second opinions. Be sure. Then when you are sure, then talk to people. And when they deny it, just be firm. Because at that point.
I remember Max was saying that he was having issues in Italy at RCGP. Does that engine have the same carb?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think that's that same one. He had the Type S, so I think the Type S is same or similar, and he had those kind of issues too. And that's the new OS with the low cooling head. So when he put the 21J on that one, it also solved his problems. So then he was okay.
Well, OS needs to just throw that carb away then.
I know, that's what I said too, but I don't know. I doubt they'll do that.
I doubt they will too. TJ Barnes, thoughts on JQ building an 8-scale nitro on-road car for us weirdos?
On-road car?
On-road car, dude.
Yeah, that's more unlikely than a truggy. Start asking about that once we have a truggy.
Well, there are a few guys that have converted JQ 8-scale buggies into GT cars. So, Dennis Milvick, Will Smith, to name a few, Chuck DeBellin, they've all converted it. What are you doing, dude? Why are you always moving, man? Can't you sit your ass still while we record?
Yeah, I am still.
No, you're not. Making all this noise. Anyway. Excuse me. Greg Simpson. How much effect does different shock pistons have on a car? Like 5-hole versus 6-hole, 7-hole, and also the size of the hole?
Huge difference. Having the wrong piston can make a car basically undrivable. Having the right one can make it really good. So you should check what pistons your manufacturer recommends, because they'll know what a good, overall good piston is. Usually, good cars will have one setup that works everywhere. So you can run the same piston everywhere. And then, for example, on the JQ Black Edition, standard is 7 piston. Now the stock car comes with 7 1.2 front, 1.4 rear. But we like to drill them out to 7 1.25 front and 3.5 rear. So slightly bigger in the front than standard and smaller in the rear than standard. And that's a really good setting that just works everywhere. And that's what we run. But then you can run different pistons, like 5-hole pistons, for example. So the holes would be bigger, 5, 1.5, and 1.6. And what that does is it just calms the car down, slows everything down. So everything happens a bit slower. It's just not as responsive. It feels heavier on the track in a sense. So that's maybe something that you would like, but that's not something that works on all the tracks as good as the 7-hole ones. But yeah, if you have a relatively smooth track and your car's a bit nervous and twitchy, maybe try that. Maybe the 5-hole pistons would be better there.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, so there should be sort of one setting that works everywhere, but then for specific track conditions, a different setting might be a bit better.
So
And also, you can't really compare between different cars because most of the cars in the market, they like to run 8-hole pistons, but they just don't work on the JQ car because the suspension geometry is different. So the 7 holes for us is what other companies experience with 8-hole pistons. They run 8 holes everywhere and it's good. And then they change for different conditions. Well, we run 7-hole everywhere and then we change for different conditions.
I guess to elaborate on this question, what do lesser holes versus more holes? I know what smaller holes do. It's more pack. Is that the same if holes, the number of holes as well?
When you have more holes, you can run a softer, more plush setting. So low speed damping is soft, but then when you land off a jump, high speed damping, it's you still have pack. So with more holes, you can run a softer setting that still has pack.
Okay. Yeah, I get it. Makes sense. Anything to add before we move on?
Nope.
All right. Joe Zaire Jr. ran out of talent. Check out his podcast, and he has a new mixed martial arts podcast called Cauliflower Air. I need to get Joe on here to do some ranting with us soon. I want to weekly club race my nitro buggy this summer. How much maintenance do I really need to do? In the past, I ran my buggy once a month, and between every round, I'd fully rebuild the car. What do you say, Joseph?
Well, you definitely don't need to fully rebuild your car between every round.
Well, every week. He's talking about racing it weekly now.
Yeah, well, if he races it one race, you don't need to rebuild your whole car after that.
What would you do?
If I'm just club racing, every race, I would put new clutch bell bearings in the clutch, air filter. But that's kind of it.
Well, obviously the other things like check your hinge pins aren't bent, stuff like that.
That's like goes without saying.
Right.
You don't need to rebuild it. Don't need to tear it apart. Take the shocks off. Everything's moving free. Don't overthink it. Every couple of races, redo the diffs, adjust shock oils to temperature at the track. Yeah, keep it simple.
All right. Thank you, Joe, for your question. Mark Bruton Young RC. I like this question. Is JQ more or less grumpy than Kimi Räikkönen? I would say you are more grumpy because Kimi Räikkönen makes way more money than we'll ever imagine.
Yeah, I think so too. It's easy to be nice when you're a millionaire.
Have you met him?
Yeah.
Yeah, because of ICE, right? You give him this. They drive some JQ cars for his motocross team.
Actually, they do, but I never actually met him there. I met him at the motocross track.
When I was in firefighter training in England back in 2004, my buddy Darren, who sat behind me, him and I really became good friends, and he actually he gave me the Ayrton Senna biography that I read, and he used to work for McLaren, and he was the personal trainer for David Coulthard and Kimi Räikkönen when he worked for McLaren, and he just said, Coulthard loves it, wants to come in, work out, do his job, and get better. Kimi Räikkönen was like a fucking baby. Didn't want to work out, had to force him. So it sounds very Finnish to me. I'm only joking. You and Kimi Räikkönen are very similar, like especially when you're texting. No, yes, I don't know. Okay, maybe. Read above.
I waste words.
Read above. Anyway,
Yeah,
Enrique Maloney has a bunch of questions about setup on the Black Edition, and I think you should answer, you should talk to him on Facebook. Enrico, I'm gonna put you let's just get you talking to Joseph because you have some questions that we can just walk you through. I think through text. Kevin LaChapelle, why different offsets in 10 scale rims? Why does company A have this and company B has another?
Because no one can work together.
Really?
It makes no sense, really. Maybe they think that, if we make it different, then everyone's going to have to buy our wheels.
That's so silly.
Yeah,
I didn't
really,
even
I
know
think
they
that's
had
why.
different. I didn't even know. I'm not really a 10 scale guy, so I didn't really know that. But interesting. All right. Troy Nicholson, what shock oils and springs should I try with different shock pistons? And he says, what are the advantages of drilling your own pistons?
We already talked.
Yeah, but I think the advantage of drilling your own pistons is that you can make as many holes as you want if various
Yeah, but I
sizes.
already identified one problem with this guy's question. This could be a rant on its own, but I'll just try and answer it quick.
Okay.
There's no point in asking what shock oil someone uses unless you're running the same car and same pistons. I don't understand how people don't get that. People running a Mugen with 8-hole pistons, they ask me what shock oil I'm running. It's like 750 and 35. Like, it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. How do people not understand that? If you want to know what oil to run, you have to find someone who's running the same car and same pistons as you. Then it's relevant. If not, it doesn't mean anything.
And not only that, it might be. How would you know? Like, here's another thing about that. If you're going to change
It's like it's like going to a Thai restaurant, sitting down, getting the menu, and ordering a Big Mac. You can't order a Big Mac at a Thai restaurant. It's food, but it doesn't make any sense.
Well, it's not only that. Is that if you change the pistons shock oils and springs, you will know what really made the difference as well.
Well, you have to change oils when you change pistons, Keenan.
Well, yes, but anyway, don't make me look stupid today.
Well, you make yourself look stupid. I don't need to try very hard.
You know what? Just for that, I'm asking Salty Joe's fucking question just to piss you off. Is Rupert becoming a vegetarian? I've been seeing him with a lot of carrots lately.
Yeah, is he coming to DNC?
No, PMB.
Why?
Because he says he can't get, it's too much work going on.
Yeah, I'm into carrots now. I'm into the vegetarian diet.
Yeah, that's a great, that carrot picture is absolutely spot on.
The best thing is that I don't need to buy them myself. They are provided to me for me. So
We have two more questions. Ryan Steck. I've noticed almost all other manufacturers list key component materials like chassis materials, etc. From luxurious X-ray claims of Swiss 7075 to Soar Seiki using 7079. Now, I understand lots of this is market hype. Swiss in front of anything sounds better. Some of us with metallurgical backgrounds, I know I butchered that, generally understand the difference between 6061, 7075 aluminum, and know it's not all advertising hype. He wants to know why you have not listed the type of aluminum on your car.
Keenan, this is for you.
What's that?
Can I play this?
What? Play what? Go ahead.
Did you hear that?
Nope, heard nothing.
No?
Nope.
I went on YouTube to play you how to pronounce metallurgical.
Is it meteorological? Meteorological.
Metallurgical,
Okay.
not meteorological.
Hey, man. I'm still suffering with telemetry. Telemetry. I said it right. Finally. I forgot how to say it again. Telemetry. Yeah. I answered the question, damn it.
Why it's stupid? Yeah, sometimes I write something like that. Why not? I don't know. I don't focus on that kind of stuff.
All right.
Most of the time, people are lying anyway.
Now, this question comes because, like, Max has announced that he's going to associate it. We kind of knew that's where he was going. And it's funny because a lot of people are like, what happened to Max? I'm like, fuck, that's old news. Like, that's like last month, beginning of last month. Max left JQ. But one guy goes, will Max be faster with AE? He wants to ask you, what do you think?
No, but he will be faster because this was the first year. Last year was the first year when he was matching the best. Like, his lap times were really good. He just couldn't keep it together. He was faster than me, but yeah, again, he couldn't keep it together. So he made a step forward this last year in speed versus others. And I would expect that trend would continue regardless of what car he runs. That's why. So let's say he would have switched 3 years ago. I wouldn't have wanted that to happen, but it wouldn't have really been such a big deal. But now it was a bigger deal because I know that he will do better, and that's going to look bad on JQ. Do you see what I mean? So he isn't doing better. He won't do better because of the car. He's doing better because he is better. But because he switches, then it looks bad. But it is what it is, you know.
So
just
now
gonna have to smash him.
Yeah, I'm about to say now your mission. You better watch it, dude. I was looking at some pictures Henry posted. He's looking like a lean, mean fighting machine. He might put you in some secret headlock and choke you out if you talk too much shit.
Still a virgin.
So are you now?
Oh, I'm getting close.
I'm pretty sure.
How many months is the limit? I don't know.
I don't know, but I'm pretty sure that whole virgin. He swore on to me that he's not a virgin.
That's what they always say.
You would know all about that. All about it. But time will tell what Max is going to do. But he looks pretty sharp in his Finnish uniform, army uniform with his cap. What's that cap called? That
I don't know.
Yeah, you don't know. You don't know anything about that. Anything. But yeah, I think that's it for Facebook questions. But I do have an invisible speed topic I would like you to go over for me personally.
RC fanatics, is your servo just not cutting it? Maybe it doesn't have that super fast response time. Maybe it just doesn't have the torque that's needed. No worries. The No Name RC podcast has teamed up with BK Servos to bring you high-end performance servos at a fraction of the cost. The DS7002 HB is a super fast, precise, and costs a fraction of comparable high-end servos. They also offer the DS-SHT model that has more torque than almost anything out there. If you're interested in some BK servos, you can visit www.bkhobbies.com and use the code TheNoName and get 15% off your purchase.
So, my question is for you. I see that you have gone. Okay, you have gone like the Black Edition has 45, 14 in the diffs, right? And the ring and pinion gears. And you've chosen to go back to 43, 13, correct?
Yeah.
And what are you using as a spur?
47.
Okay. What is the difference with gearing the car in the gearboxes with ring and pinions compared to you then just changing your spur and your clutch bell? Explain that to me quickly and in layman's terms.
The point isn't to change the overall gearing of the car. The point is to keep the overall gearing the same or close to the same, and to change the way the gears spool up, the way the power band feels, how the car accelerates. So with the 45-14 in the gearboxes, so the larger gears, the acceleration is smoother. The feeling is smoother. You don't need to pull as much throttle for the car to go fast, but the initial acceleration is smoother. It's not as punchy. Then the opposite is true for the 4313 in the gearbox. So it's more punchy. Let's say there's a jump out of a corner. It's easier to clear that because it accelerates harder. Typically, to maintain your speed around the track, you need to be deeper in the throttle to maintain your speed. So kind of related to that, also when you let off the throttle, with the 4514, it slows down less, so it rolls more. And with the 4313, it feels like there's more drag brake. It slows the car down more when you let off the throttle. So it's not about changing the overall gearing. It's about changing how it feels on the track.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So the reason I changed now, so I was running Reds before, and Reds is not as powerful and not as fast as OS. Let's just face it. At least, okay, let's be fair. When I raced for Reds, that was the case. The problem, or I don't know problem, but let's say where I noticed it more it wasn't that initial punch. It was more sort of mid-range feel, mid-range to top end. So running the 4514 was the better choice for me because I felt that I could go faster around the track that way. Now the OS again has great mid to top end, so it's really fast. So now I want to try running the 4313 again, get all the punch that I need in the world so I can be smooth and still have great power. And then because the engine is faster, it will still be fast mid to top, like that sort of mid-range speed when you're going through a sweeper and you're still on throttle. Because the engine is faster, I don't need to make up for it with the gearing. Does that make sense? So yes. I just want to see that this gearing fits this engine's power band better.
Okay. That makes sense. And more drag brake, I think that will work for me because it's hard for me to use brakes on a car. And then I could just, I'm used to, kind of the car, I always like having that engine brake, I like to call it, but, just range into the corner and make your turns because it's really difficult for me to put this minute brake signals in. So, yeah, that makes sense. It's going to be interesting to see how it works at DNC. So I was just wondering because that's completely different from, I saw one guy say, oh, why didn't you just change the spur? And I was like, yeah, I wanted to know myself, and that piqued my interest. So interesting, very interesting. Good stuff. And does this so the current gear ratio that is different from other car ratios, right? All the other car ratios are pretty much the same. More about
no, there are some differences. The X-Ray has something different. Agama is different.
Okay.
The sort of industry standard Kyosho gearing, that was 4313.
Okay, got you. Sweet. Well, now I have a better understanding of everything, and thank you. So let's move on. I'm going to move on to the interview. So I'll call you back later, okay?
Okay.
Nitro is the glory, but E-Buggy pays the bills.
So what's up, everybody? Joining me this week on the podcast is the man behind the designs at TLR, Mr. Frank Root. What's up, Frank? How are you? Can I call you Franklin?
I mean, you can, but I generally go by Frank. I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm all right, man. I'm good. Thank you for your time. I appreciate you coming on. We got to chatting about a week ago, and I said, hey, you might as well come on the podcast and share some of your knowledge. So I appreciate it, man. I know you're a busy man.
Yeah. No problem. I'm glad to be here, and this is part of the gig. And I mean, anybody that knows me knows I enjoy talking, so why not?
All right, so this should be a good podcast. This is the first time I've ever really talked to you, so it's going to be good. So just so people know who you are Frank Root. What's your actual job title at TLR?
So I'm a senior product developer, and as a product developer, I don't do the CAD of the cars, but I do a lot of the race engineering and communication with the vendor, testing of prototypes, how many cars we order, setting up all the part numbers, pretty much do everything outside of the actual CAD.
Okay.
So,
all right. So you're pretty hands-on then. Pretty hands-on.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Where are you from originally? I couldn't find that. Are you from California originally?
Yeah, so I was born in California, and my family moved to Arizona, to Phoenix, when I was like 9 or 10. And I lived there till I moved back to California when I was about 22.
All right. So how old are you now then?
37.
Okay. So, all right. You're a few years younger than me, but you've been around RC for quite a bit. I did do some research on you. I saw you kind of got started the same way a lot of us did. Got an RC car for Christmas, and it kind of went there. I know you raced a lot of oval racing, paved oval. How was that back in the day?
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, I got an RC10 Worlds kit for my first RC car at Christmas, and we went to go race it at the local track, and that track had changed from an off-road to a paved oval. So my dad and I got some oval cars and started racing oval, and I did that from 10 until 20 years old. So I didn't really race off-road until I was 20.
Hey, was you racing against like Kirby and the Silver Brothers and all those type of guys in that time?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I wasn't quite that fast. Like Kirby raced mostly on the East Coast and a lot of cap tire stuff. Most of what I ran was foam tire.
Okay.
So yeah, I did race against the Silvas a few times, but I mean, wasn't really competition for them.
Yeah, that's when oval was like the shit. Like that's when, like that was all that mattered in RC at that time. I kind of remember that too, because off-road that's all I was into. But I just remember I don't remember reading about Kirby, but I've listened to Rip, so I've heard him talk about it. But I remember the Silver Brothers, and just my first ever RC magazine was that pink 1990 RC Action with all the cars lined up at the Thunderdome. So I always thought it was so cool. It's too bad it's paved ovals kind of non-existent now.
Yeah, I think this is back before touring car, right? So you didn't have any of that real on-road crowd. Like if you raced on asphalt, you pretty much ran a pan car. Now, whether it was designed for road course or oval, like it was kind of all the same thing. And like we just raced in a parking lot at a hobby town in Gilbert, Arizona. And, we'd get 100 to 120 entries during the summer, and everybody had a good time. And yeah, it just got to where the oval cars today are very on the razor's edge kind of a performance. It's really hard to get into without having some deep knowledge about how to make the cars work and go real fast.
Yeah, a setup is so important. I mean, setup's important, period, right? But in that oval racing, it's incredible, man. Even in dirt oval, like what I've been learning, like you have to, like that's where you it's an oval, like you have to make it up somewhere, So it's pretty impressive. Dirt oval's really big. It's growing. It's really growing fast. So it's impressive to see. I like it.
For sure.
I like the scale look of it. I know nothing about dirt oval, never followed it in my life, but I would definitely race RC cars around a dirt oval. So you said touring car kind of came in. Did you get into the whole touring car craze and drop oval, or did you go straight to off-road after that?
Yeah, actually, touring car was my entry into off-road. I think the TC3 came out, and I don't know many guys that raced in a parking lot that didn't have one of those at one point, and started running a XXS Graphite Plus, and we went to a carpet race down in Tucson at Competition Hobbies, and that was an indoor off-road track that had a carpet track too, so it was both. And that weekend I saw Kinwald and Trury and Newman and Thelke and Mayfield and all those guys racing, and that's where I was like, wow, that looks like a whole different thing. Like I got to try that.
Oh yeah, man, Trury. You brought up Trury's name. He's one of the greatest, man. Very underrated racer. Like people forget about him, but that dude he's still fast. Like still incredibly fast. I guarantee he does well at DNC if he goes this year. He did last year.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, he's pretty. Yep. He's still great, man. I got to get him on this podcast as well. So you got into off-road. What did you get? So what did you end up starting out with?
I started with a B4. I knew Brent. So that was really my first off-road race car was a B4. So a lot of people, ask me, about, double X, this, or, B2. And it's like, no, I didn't race any of that stuff. Like I never raced off-road till the B4 was already out. I knew Brent Felke for a while, so he kind of helped me get going with that. And I ran the B4 for, I don't know, maybe 6 months. And then Billy Fisher was helping us out a lot, club racing out at SRS. So I ended up getting a Triple X BK2 and just went from there.
Okay, so, but you did, maybe I'm wrong, but you did run for Associated for a little bit, or did you stay with Losi TLR from there? Or how did that happen?
Yes. So I actually didn't run for either of them at that time. I'd had a couple oval chassis sponsors, but when I went to off-road, I started racing stock, and it took a while for me to get going in mod to where I was getting faster. And I guess technically the first chassis sponsor I had was J Concepts.
Okay.
Jason sponsored me for the BJ4 way back when, like 2005, I think. I made the main at the shootout one year and got a sponsorship from that.
Was that back in I don't know if it's like that now, but that was back like when you had to cut your teeth on stock before you went to mod, and like stock was like kind of like you wanted to get out of that because mod is where everything was that time this time era of RC, I would say.
Yeah, it was different because really generally once people got fast in stock, they just moved straight to mod. And that was kind of the goal, is go win yourself a stock race, prove that that you're making that leap, and then just move up to mod and start climbing those ranks too.
Yeah, it's not really like that nowadays. We'll get it. That's one of the topics I want to get into with you, but it's kind of like that, but it's not really like that at the same time. So we'll save that for later. So you're racing stock, you're running mod, and you're running Jason's car, the BJ4. It was called the BJ4, yeah, I believe so. Can't remember. When did you? I was reading that you had various different jobs in the industry. Like, what was you doing in this time? Was you in school? Was you just working was you working and racing, or what? How was this working out for you?
Yeah, so I worked at a grocery store, or Safeway, for years, and then when my current wife, then girlfriend, and I moved to California back in 2003, 2004, and so that I could get more into RC and that she could get a better job out here. And anyways, I started working for a small brushless company called Sky & Technology. They make brushless speed controllers for helis and mini cars. Did that for a couple of years. Company kind of went belly up, and ended up working for Theo at Pacific Coast Hobbies.
Okay.
And I worked for him from 2007 through the beginning of 2010. Helped manage the hobby shop. There's kind of 3 managers there, but I was one of them, and really helped. Like to think I helped Theo with getting the inventory cleaned up and under control, and just kind of streamlining things, making it a little more efficient. So and then from there, I started working at Horizon.
Okay, so you're just working at the hobby shop. You're racing. I guess you're predominantly racing 10 scale at this time.
Yeah, and that would have been when I was running for Associated too.
Okay, so you're sponsored by Associated. Like, how was you making out? The one I was reading about, you did really well in short course. It might have been when you were still at TLR, because finding information on people is very difficult about RC people. It's very difficult online. So you're racing for Associated. What you're racing, stock, or are you in mod now, or are you just running stock?
Yeah, I'm in mod.
Okay.
We went to the shootout, the off-road shootout so I ran for X Factory for a little bit. I ran for X Factory for most of a year. Chaz and I just decided to part ways, and I ended up buying some Associated cars at the time and went to the shootout like the next month, and made both the 2-wheel and 4-wheel main. And then from there, I was able to get picked up by Associated at the end of the year. But yeah, I was racing modified by that time.
Okay, so you was doing pretty good then. You're making mains. You're racing against the big boys. Was you traveling much outside of California at this time, or just keeping it local?
Yeah, I was driving to a lot of things. I mean, we used to have a lot of major races. We had Cactus Classic in Phoenix. We had the Shootout at Hot Rod. We had the Nationals on the West Coast every other year. We had a few races in Albuquerque. So a lot of stuff that we could drive to, but I wasn't necessarily hopping on planes and flying a whole lot.
Okay.
Maybe till 2008 or 2009.
All right. So 2010, you're working at Pacific Hobbies. How does it go from working at Pacific Hobbies to working at Horizon? How did that all come about?
Yeah, so it started at the end of 2009. I've been running for Associated, and I was looking for a little bit more support than they were ready to give me in my racing. And I think, a lot of people run into that. And, I was just going to resign. I didn't really think anything about it. But Mike Trury and Theo, Theo that owns Pacific Coast Hobbies, and Mike, lived down the street. He was hanging out with us there a lot. He was just like, why don't you talk to Adam and Kevin and, run for TLR? Like, they don't really have an electric guy around here. I think you'll fit the team good there. And so I talked to Kevin and Adam. I ended up switching to start running for, at the time, it was Team Losi for the start of 2010. And we were getting ready to go to Nitro Challenge. We met at the warehouse and the office, the product development office. And I caught Bill Jarek and just said, hey, I have a job right now. I work at Pacific Coast Hobbies, but I'm really interested in having a career inside the RC industry. And, I think I can do a good job for you. And it would be great to be able to come here and start working at some point. He kind of gave me a quick on the spot interview. And like a week later, I interviewed with Yuka Stenari, who was the head of product development at the time. And, I think I gave like a 4-week notice to Theo and started in April 2010 as an employee at Horizon Hobby.
Really? That's pretty cool. So what was your first job there?
So originally I was hired to do electronics. So at the time we had we called it the Accelerin brand of electronics for low-C vehicles. And it was more than just for the race product. It was a lot of speed controllers and motors for RTRs and just upgrades. But we did race batteries, and we were working on race motors and speed controllers. And that's what I did for the first maybe year and a half. Okay.
So when did you kind of transition over into more of the racing side of it?
Yeah, so we really wanted to grow the Accelerin brand, and Horizon at the time wasn't sure that was the best idea. And we ended up deciding to just kind of let the electronics game go. And that's when I got moved into the TLR side of product development and working underneath Todd Hodge, which I'm really thankful for. He's been a great employer and mentor for me. And so, yeah, I moved over and started with the 22 2.0. That was my first project for TLR.
So tell me what you done for the 22 2.0. Like, what was like, I'm explain to me in layman terms exactly what your involvement was in that. Like,
yeah, sure. So there's a bunch of different aspects to a project, and a project takes anywhere from 12 to 24 months, depending on the scope of the project. But let's say for like the 22 2.0, right? The first thing you got to do is be very familiar with the 1.0. You got to assess its strengths and weaknesses, areas of opportunity. And then you come up with ideas or concepts of things that you want to test to try and improve the performance of the car. Performance is many things, right? It's like on track, like how fast can it go? How well does it land? How easy is it to drive? How durable is it? How reliable is it? So, you try and find what works and what doesn't, where your strengths and weaknesses are. Then you come up with a plan of things to try. Maybe it's a different material to test for your suspension arms to make them more durable, or different coating for your shock shafts, or a different, adjustments to geometry in the front end or the rear end, or both. So we came up with a list of things to test, and I worked with the engineer at the time, Dan Hassam. We made some prototype parts, and we, went testing and tried to, figure out what the right changes were to make to the 22 2.0. And once we kind of had those, felt confident in those findings, then we went into production design, which Dan's doing all the CAD, right? So, at that time, I'm probably working on another project because as a product developer, I'm usually have about 5 to 8 projects that I'm in process on. It's never one project. It's not just one project at a time. You're always working on a bunch of different stuff. And so then we get the production design complete. We send it to the vendor. We have them quote the tooling and the FOB price. And from there, that's where I'm handling all of that communication and trying to justify the price and get us the best price we can get, and so on and so forth. And then we start tooling the project, and then we go dark a little bit, or I'll work on a different project for that time. Then, we start to get samples in, and then it's back to testing. We got to make sure that the samples work the way that they're intended to work, that, the production prototype car is as good as the full prototype car, if not better. And sometimes we'll make a few different parts for production. Like, let's say for the 22.4, we made 3 different material mud guards to test the chassis flex. So, we have to figure out which one we want to include in the kit, and so on and so forth. Then we got to set up all the replacement parts, all the pricing. We got to look at historical data to, infer how many parts we should order to bring into stock, and what those parts need to be priced at in terms of what we're buying them for, and what they need to be priced at in terms of what we're selling to the hobby shops for, and how many we need to order, and just kind of all of that, getting a sample built so we can get photos done for the box art, and writing out all of the marketing material in terms of the little, features and benefits and the text for the box, doing the instruction manual input. So yeah, there's a lot that goes into it, and just tracking the project and the schedule. And, there's an origination point and there's an end point, and just kind of managing everything in between. So as a product developer, I touch every part of the project. But I tell the purchasing agent how many to order, but they're the ones that actually order it. And I talk to the engineer about what we think the geometry should be, but they're the ones that actually draw the parts. So I do a lot, but I don't do a lot too. So
yeah, it sounds like it's just a whole big team doing that. So I was also reading that when you was doing the 22, sorry, if I get the names, the 2.0, that the short you had, I think you was working on a shorty battery or something, or the shorty battery had just kind of come out. Maybe I read wrong, but something connecting the shorty battery and the development of the 2.0. Am I off here or?
A little bit. Yeah. We actually, we made the Accelerant was the first shorty pack. And we developed that for the 22 1.0 actually. So when I was doing the electronics and we got the 22 1.0s, I just kind of said, well, if we're running mid motor, like, do we really want to have to run saddle packs? Like, they're just kind of clunky, and you got to have this jumper and all this. And like, what if we just made a battery that was the same length as the 2 saddle packs put next to each other, so it can fit in the same battery compartment? And, it'll be cheaper. It'll be plenty of milliamps. It'll allow the car to be lighter. And we came out with that battery, and I think the whole RC industry is a little fortunate that Roar was considering making that battery illegal, because I thought it was against the spirit of the rules, even though all the battery dimensions only had maximums. So kind of got lucky, and they didn't veto the battery and approved it. And I think it's kind of the most common size for racing type scale these days, at least.
The rest is history. That's pretty amazing. I didn't know that. That's amazing. Cool. So, I have a question about testing. When you guys go to test, I guess now, back then it wasn't so much, but do you guys do a lot of 3D printing? Do you use 3D printed samples at all nowadays? Or is everything just like what you get not too far off from production?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, one of the vendors that we work with, they can make prototype stuff really well, very accurate, like any machine part, at least, with a pretty short lead time, to where it's just easiest to to go that route. I mean, we can 3D print stuff and test it, but the durability's not always the best. And it's an option, but it's usually not our go-to option. Kind of depends on what the part is and what we're trying to accomplish. Like you can 3D print some stuff that's not load bearing, but to do like suspension arms, we could 3D print them, but we can have them also machined out of Delrin and probably not much more time. And
how much time at the track do you guys spend on like a race project? Would you
really depends on the project.
Yeah.
I mean, like, let's say truck and short course, we don't spend as much time as we will on 2-wheel and 4-wheel.
Right.
It just comes down to, we're going to sell a lot more 2-wheels and 4-wheels than we are short course and stadium trucks these days. And we need to use all of our resources, including our time, appropriately. But like the 22 2.0, we spent like a lot of time at the track. There was something in the car that just wasn't right, and we had to find it. It's like trying to find a bad line of code. Like until you find it, it's still there. And we finally figured it out with the scrub radius. And once we fixed that, which is like the offset of the wheel to the kingpin. Yes. Once we fixed that, then it opened up all kinds of other options where, we were able to make the suspension softer in the rear end and changed quite a few things. But it took a long time to get to the point where we found the scrub radius. I mean, we're talking probably 3 months. And then once we found that, then it was like another month and we had all the geometry done. So it just kind of, some days you go to the track and you don't move forward at all. You might cross some things off the list, but you just, feels like a lost day. They're really frustrating days. And some days you go to the track and you just make one change after another and everything's just better and moving in the right direction. And you feel like you got a week's worth of work done, and you can't, it's really hard to kind of plan for those. So
where do you guys usually test to nowadays?
So I do a lot of testing at SDRC if I'm running clay. Travis Brock has always been really cool with letting me go down when the track's not open. A lot of the testing I'm doing, I can do when the track's open, but for me, it just allows me to start a lot earlier in the day. And, when I go to the track, like let's say I go to SDRC and test, I'll usually get down there about 10 after I drop my kids off, and I'll test till 10 o'clock at night. If I got to drive, an hour and 20 minutes or whatever to get to the track, like I'm going to make the most of that day. Lately, we've been doing some at OCRC as well. And then if I got to go carpet testing, I go up to Rise Up Hobbytown out in Palm Desert. It's the closest carpet track I have to me. It's like an hour and a half. But when we feel like we're getting somewhere with the carpet stuff, we go to Vegas because we can always see what the Champlins are doing for lap times as a comparison. And then that's a lot. I mean, that track is huge, and we're doing like
this is the 702 race track.
Yeah, 702 RC Raceway. Yeah, and we're doing like 13-second lap times, and that track is 3 times the size of Rise Up, and at Rise Up we do 11-second lap times. So it's kind of a different type of thing. Once you increase that speed, you need a little bit more out of the car to have the right balance.
Well, being as we're talking, how do you feel about carpet and dirt? Because I like them both. I'll be honest, I've never really raced 10 scale on a prepped clay track, but I've raced 10 scale on AstroTurf and carpet when I was in the UK, and I loved it.
So I don't have a whole lot of Astro experience myself. There's just not any Astro tracks around me, but as far as carpet goes, I actually really enjoy driving on carpet. I really enjoy setting up the cars. I enjoy the consistency of it for testing purposes, which is pretty awesome. And then, quite frankly, I just like going fast. I mean, we run, like last time I was in Vegas, I was running a 4.5 in my 4-wheel with like 30 degrees of turbo. And it feels like you're driving a touring car with jumps now. Cars are so fast. So that part of it's a lot of fun. I don't enjoy the racing on carpet as much. It's just one of those things where the closing speeds are so fast that it's really hard to make passes. Most of it's just waiting for guys to make mistakes. And even like really high bite slick clay is kind of getting the same way. But yeah, it's a trade-off, like carpet. It's nice that you don't have to do all the tire prep and, warmers and sauce and all of that, but then the tires don't last, maybe as
Right.
long. So it's there's benefits to both. I enjoy both, and like for my perfect world, like I have 2 carpet cars and 2 clay cars, and I kind of go back and forth as much as I can. I really enjoy doing both.
Awesome. That's good, man. I really enjoy. A lot of people are against it, but man, I think it's a great. I think carpet's a great way to get people into our hobby and sport, hobby/sport, because it's easy. It does bring bad habits, like truggy, but it's easy and people can get the hang of it fast. So I definitely enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely. I mean, the one nice thing about carpet is like I have my carpet 2 wheels like a year old, but if I blow it off at the air compressor and hand it to you, you barely even tell the thing's been run.
Exactly.
Like it looks new. You don't really beat it up. So that's really nice. I personally really miss where I started racing off road was at SRS,
Outdoors,
the old outdoor SRS.
Yep.
And we ran whole shocks and 8175s, and the car was always moving around, but never really loose. And we ran like there's some clay in the track, but it was like a, not super loamy, not super hard packed, just kind of in between dirt mud that we were racing on. And that was the best. Hot Rod Hobbies is kind of like that on their club nights. And that's the type of racing I wish we still had. There's reasons why people have gone indoor racing instead. But I don't know if it's, I enjoy racing indoors a lot, but I kind of reminisce and definitely wish that we were back to the old school tires outdoor racing.
I'm not good. I mean, I enjoy watching the Reedy race at OCRC, but man, one of the best races I've ever seen was the 2013 Worlds at Chico. And I'm like, we don't even do this anymore. Well, not in America too much, but I would love to see the Nationals outdoors or, something like that. I would like to see outdoor 10 scale racing happen again.
Yeah, I think now it's a little tough just because the cars aren't designed for it at all. I mean, we've gone so far the other way that if you went and raced at that type of track again, I don't know if it would be quite as fun as it used to be. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely something just to being outside, just getting a little sun on your shoulders and setting up your tents and having sharing your tent with a couple buddies or whatever. It's just different at the indoor tracks, but that's what makes the indoor tracks attractive to so many people is you get off work at 5 and you can go to OCRC and get there at 6. They close at 11.
Yeah.
So you get 5 hours of practice, and all you have to do is carry in an Ogio bag and a car. You don't have to bring a table or an extension cord or shade, lights. I mean, you don't have to do any of that stuff.
All the stuff that
throw down your car and run.
That I'm worried about going into DNC. Just walk me through. Like, I want to give me a day in the life of you at TLR, like at Horizon. Well, how does your day start?
Yeah, so I mean, this is where I saw this question. I was like, well, every day is different. Like that's the first way that I will phrase it. It just really depends on what's going on. So let's say I got to do some testing. I'll have the TLR van and I'll drop my kids off at school and I'll head straight to the track, and I won't get back to the track until after they're asleep. It'll be a long day and we'll get a lot of testing done and we'll show up at the track. And sometimes I have a list of things I'd like to try, but I don't have usually like a run by run specific agenda. It's more of you got to start running things and kind of see where the track and the car and the field take you. So that's, one kind of day. And then like some days I might work from home and I might just build a test car or get cars prepped for a big race, or, if it's like an RTR project that I'm working on, I might, spend the day out somewhere driving that and running packs through it. Then you have your office days like today, and I'll come in the morning, usually get in the office between like 8 and 8:30 and fire up the email, go through all my email, clear out my inbox and get as many things accomplished as possible. And then just start working on whatever project I have in front of me and whatever's, the kind of highest priority, whether it's, building a photo sample car or doing some spreadsheets with some pricing and order quantities, or, measuring prototype parts that we're getting in to make sure that they're the right size. We do some drop testing where we literally take a car and drop it 6 feet onto concrete and see what breaks. So it could be, that's kind of the biggest thing with a product developer is it's consistently inconsistent. I mean, you're always doing what you need to do. It's kind of a get it done type of job, and your daily tasks aren't necessarily organized or consistent.
Yeah, that's understandable. You got to be flexible. You got to, you got to be a kind of a jack of all trades as well. Besides RC, the racing side of it, do you enjoy working on a lot of the RTR? Do you get to work on the RTR stuff, and do you enjoy that as well?
Yeah, so I usually end up doing about one RTR project per year.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say if I'm working on 5 projects a year, it'll be 4 race and 1 RTR. I mean, personally, like my passion is more on the race side of things. Okay. So the RTR projects, I don't mind doing them, but they're not necessarily the projects that I look forward to the most.
Right.
But we have a team here, and we have, Todd is the captain or the leader, whatever you want to call him. And, we have a bunch of projects coming down the pipeline, and, we all got to take our shot. I mean, I'm sure that everybody in here has done a project that they weren't maybe super excited for, but, it makes it even that much better when you get to work on projects that you're really passionate about. So for me, luckily, I get to work on, 4 out of the 5 projects I work on every year. I'm super excited about.
Okay.
Cause they're right up my wheelhouse there for racing, and that's a lot of fun. I mean, the RTR stuff's cool. Like, we make a lot of awesome stuff. Mm-hmm. It's just, for my personal passion, is not on that side of the industry.
Hey, how about the fifth scale platform is so badass, man. I so want a 5T, like, so bad. That's all I want to race. Like, I watch Chris Higa's videos. Do you have any involvement of that, or is that all Chris?
So I actually was running the 5th scale projects for about 6 months at one point, between when Gary Kais retired and we hired his replacement. And it was, I definitely see the appeal to that. It's more like real cars, and just once you start getting up there in scale, they're not as quick and nimble as the small cars. But yeah, they're a lot of fun to drive, especially when you get them on a track. And Chris actually sits next to me. He's my cube buddy, so I get to see everything he's working on. And
I'm going to send him a resume, see if I could get a sponsor. I want to race 5th scale so bad.
Well, and every time he gets something new, it's just one of those things where we all stop and take a look at it, because usually he works on some really cool stuff. Yeah. Really, just the scale of it allows us to add so much detail, and most of the things he works on now are electric, and the power is just ungodly.
The gas ones, I watched them at DNC in 2018, and I was like, these things they handle. I mean, yes, obviously they don't handle like an 8 scale buggy, but they handle, and they're fast, and they got power. Like, this isn't like the old time 5th scales where you they didn't have no power. It's pretty impressive. Hopefully one day I get to race that, and I like to see that come back to DNC. I really would. It's too bad it's not going to happen this year, but
yeah.
It's a niche within a niche. I have a buddy named Connie Swenson. He's over in Sweden. He's really big into large scale, so we talk about it a lot. And I've had Matt Olson on her, and he's doing his thing to push it. I really like the Mini Cooper. I think that's, like, I wanted one of them so bad. That's a great spec on-road. Like, I know it's big and it's expensive, but if you could just race those cars and like race regular tires, and just only thing you could do is add a muffler, that would be so great. Really like them.
Yeah, exactly.
But you guys don't make the Mini Cooper no more, so it's too bad.
Yeah, I mean, with a lot of things like RTRs, especially when you have something that's licensed, you have to have a certain threshold of sales to make it worthwhile re-upping the license, because usually there's like a minimum. You have to reach a minimum. It's like based off a percentage, but then you have to reach a minimum. So if you don't feel like you can do the units for another 3 years to keep at the minimum, then you're going to write a check at the end of it. And so, sometimes you got to make hard decisions based on what you're
I don't think it was that popular anyway. I mean, it was. I saw that they, like over in the UK or maybe in Europe, they had made a class for it. But I mean, it really, it's still ready to run. It probably didn't catch on as big as it should have, but I still think it's very cool.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so let's talk about TLR. TLR, we've been talking about it obviously on the podcast a lot. They recently, Kevin Gahan's gone. Savoya's gone, who I thought was he did really well in the TLR product, and I was like, he just getting to a home, and he's now going to Kyosho. Tanner Denny just recently left. So I guess my question is, and I guess everybody's question is, because so many people link, like people thought Ty Tessman was coming over this year, that didn't happen last year. Sorry, it didn't happen. Right now, you have Fenn, you have a very good youth squad, I will say, coming up behind. What I don't know if you can talk about it, or what is TLR's plan? Did they just realize, like, okay, we don't need to have a full 2-man team at these races, we're scaling down, or what's going on? Like, I think everybody has that same question.
Yeah, so I mean, a couple of years ago, we lost Mayfield and Evans within like a week, and we had we didn't really expect either of them to leave. From what we were hearing from both of them, they were happy and we're going to continue on. And we just got a notification from them kind of really late in the game that they were leaving, and it was too late to replace them that year. And then coming into the end of this year, we've been working really hard with Aaron Kaufman, Mason Fuller, and Tom Rindernick, especially. They're kind of our youth team, and Tyler Jones too. And we're kind of all, coming up with all of them. And we were kind of, instead of going out and trying to hire a big gun, and really if we're going to hire a big gun, it's got to be a good fit.
Right.
It's usually a lot of money. You're committing for several years. You got to have the right fit. And there's really like maybe 8 big guns out there total. Right. And there's 7 companies trying for them.
Yeah.
So it's, what I'm saying? Like there's only 6 or 7 guys that can win races. And to be a big gun, you have to be able to win races. You have to be able to go to the Desert Classic or the Nitro Challenge and have somebody believe that you're capable of winning.
Right.
And there just wasn't, we pushed really hard to get a big gun coming into the 2019 season, and it didn't work out. And there wasn't really anybody available for 2020 that we thought would be the right fit.
Okay.
So we didn't push hard on that. So, Tyler ended up deciding to leave, and we found out about that a little bit later. We had thought he was going to stay, but, he was ready to move on, and we wish him the best of luck. And that just lets us put our focus into Mason, Tom, and Aaron. They've all shown flashes of brilliance. They're talented, capable, and they're all young. And we see no reason why they can't be big guns within another year or two of experience. So we're going to focus our efforts on those guys, obviously aside from Dakota.
Yeah,
and
well, he's still young too, but not as young as
those
those guys.
Yeah. But really build them up and try and get them to that next level. Mason's got just insane talent, and if I remember right, he's 14. So there's so much potential there. And Tom is 17, I believe, and he just won the Reedy Race Open with a great drive, and he was on the podium of 2-wheel also, so the speed is definitely coming. I think he qualified second at the J Concepts race this last weekend and 4-wheel behind Dakota. So, there's other fast guys there. He's running really well. And then Aaron TQ'd around a 4-wheel at Columbus and qualified second overall. TQ'd 2-wheel at Columbus last year. So he's really shown some some flashes of like, wow, like I cannot believe how fast this kid is. So yeah, they're all they're all kind of getting there, and we're going to nurture them, and we're going to work with them more closely this year. We're going to be able to help them get some more races so that they can continue to gain experience and grow. In terms of Kevin, Kevin decided to leave the industry and for another opportunity. He'd been our team manager for 10 years. And, he'd been our team manager for, I think, 13 years, 10 years while I was here. And he's just ready to move on and do something else.
That's a long time. I didn't realize he was there that long. Interesting.
Yeah, that's a long time to do that job. I think Brent's been an associate for like 17 or 18 years now, which is, kind of crazy. It's uncommon to have a team manager in place that long, I think. So, but yeah, Kevin did a great job, and he's moved on. And Reno was tough for us. We're obviously stronger in the U.S. than we are in Europe, and the industry is not as strong as it was a little while ago, and sometimes you got to make tough decisions. And we're really bummed to see Reno go, but I'm happy that he found a good home, and he's still my friend, and I'm sure we'll see each other soon, and go to BJ's and have a Pizookie or whatever together.
Yeah, he did. He was fast though this past weekend at Montpellier, and I'm glad to see that, because he's got. When I interviewed him, it was one of the better interviews I've done, and I really got to understand him and see what he kind of had to go through, and it's good. I think this will, he deserves to go out, like retire, not retire, but you know what I mean, like go into the sunset of RC comfortably with his head held high. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what he does over the next few years. Great guy, still very talented and fast.
Yeah, and I think the thing that people may not realize about Reno is that he's more than just a racer. He has his shop in France where he supports the products that he runs and helps them get easier access to consumers. And he has his own line of some accessories and stuff. Like, he's not just a racer. He's definitely part of this industry to stay.
Okay. All right. So I'm a big Nitro guy. And the X has been out since late 2018. You just came out with another car. It had its struggles when it first came out, but it's starting to get better. Anthony Westergaard does really good with it. There's another super impressed with Anthony's progress through 2019. Really, really impressed. One of the guys who stands out to me the most, Fend. Look, we're going to talk about Fend. I picked him a lot last year. I think he's extremely talented. He's fast, but he can't finish those races. And I always say he needs a mechanic. So going into this year, 8 scale wise, I would say that Fend, and if the Fullers are there, they can do well too. But I would say Fend and at Westergaard are probably going to be the two main guys at these bigger races like DNC or whatnot. What are you guys putting in place to help Fend finish these races and get the wins and the podiums that he should be getting? Because he's extremely talented and extremely fast, and he should be winning these races. So what are you guys going to do to help him with that this year?
Yeah, so I'll get back to that. I just want to say, like, the 8X, this isn't lip service because I work here, but the speed that the car had last year was very strong. Like, Dakota got second in Nitro Challenge. He had already made up an extra fuel stop at Silver State and had a 5-second lead when he had a servo go at him. And Nationals was a little rough because it was almost like an indoor race.
Yes.
In terms of guys were running like clay tires and tire sauce, and he just didn't have the tread pattern that he needed to be competitive over the semi, the length of the semi, and that's really what cost him. But his speed through qualifying, he was fast every round. Yeah. So you got Tyler Jones won PNB.
Yes.
Right. Yeah, I believe. So the car is fast. We definitely, coming from when the car first shipped to the middle of last year, we had made a lot of improvements on it. and figured some things out. And all of that is what's gone into the 8X. And what these guys are telling me is that they can just show up and throw down the 8X pretty much stock and be super competitive. As far as what we're working with, I mean, Dakota's 22. I mean, he's consistently improving his program in terms of just maturing, like not that he wasn't mature before, but just becoming more of a professional. I heard you talking on one of the previous podcasts about just some of the racers are more professional, and he's really grown in that aspect a lot. And we're also going to have Barry Baker going to some of the races with him to help him as a mechanic and pit guy.
I heard that.
Yeah. So I think that obviously Barry's experience in this industry is pretty much unparalleled. He's been around forever. Not in a bad way, but
I know
he's been around the block. He's seen it all 5 times. He's raced 10 scale. He's raced 8 scale. He's raced oval, off-road, on-road, whatever. He's done it all. And one thing's for sure, he definitely knows how to work on cars and help get them dialed in. So working with, Dakota and Barry being a team and working together on that, I'm very confident that you'll find Dakota's going to have a really, really solid year.
And you know what Barry's good at? Building drivers' confidence. Like if some of what he has can rub off on him, like I listened to him for about half an hour just talking about back in the day. I need to get him on this podcast, but he won't answer. He won't accept me as a friend, and he won't give me his number. I'll see him at DNC. But I think I think his confidence level, like you got to have that coming in. Like, I'm going to beat everybody. Like he was super confident. Like I'm going to beat everybody. He's like, who's coming second her? I mean, maybe Dakota doesn't have to be like that, but maybe he has to be in his mind too. Maybe not say it out loud, but like, who's going to be second her? That's what today is all about.
Yeah.
So I think it would be good for him.
Dakota that's my guy. Like everybody on the team is my guy, but like I've known Dakota since he was like 12, and we've worked together for years and years. And like, I started running for TLR when I was 27. So, and he's 22 now. So yeah, I've known him since he's 12. And that guy doesn't quit ever. Right. He fights for everything. And if the car allows him to be as competitive as he should be, I mean, he's going to be in the fight all the time. And I really admire the way that he goes about things. He doesn't, when things don't go his way, he doesn't blame the tires or the car or the engine or other people. It's just sometimes things don't work out. I mean, you could say that he's the best driver in the world, or Ronafalk or Mayfield or Spencer, whoever you feel like listing. None of those guys win every race, right? Like it's not going to work out every weekend for you. But if I'm going into a fight, if I'm going to the Worlds, and I want Dakota on my side.
Well, you know what? You're giving me confidence now. I told everybody for 2020, I'm putting my money on Fend and a lot of races. I don't know. DNC is going to be weird, but I have to see how he goes. But he did cost me some money last year, but it was so close. It was like, man, he just like that's, he didn't lose. He didn't get beat by better drivers. He got beat by himself, like servos breaking or something not working or whatnot. But at DNC last year, oh man, he super impressed me, man. Wow. Like, and I think impressed everybody. So it's going to be an interesting year.
Yeah, for sure.
I see that there's a new 8X or a new version that's come out a couple of weeks ago. What's that called and what's that all about? What did you guys change on it?
Okay, so this is where I will mention ahead of time that I do all the development for the 10 scale cars, and I'm not necessarily 100% in tune with the 8 scale side of things. It's Ryan Dunford does the development for those. It's the 8X Elite, and basically it's a version of the car that already comes with all the tuning and option parts that our team runs. So when you buy the kit, you can build that kit the way that it is, and it's going to be nearly identical to what Dakota runs. It comes with a lot of the parts have been anodized black to look a little more awesome, in my opinion. That's what we did on the 10 scale stuff. And then it also includes, I'm 95% sure we have like a new rear hub and axle setup that was previously an option part that gives us more adjustment in the rear end, which is really what made the car come alive when we started figuring that out middle of last year.
Okay. Awesome.
So yeah, that's for that. This is what I overhear Dunford talking about, but
Cool.
yeah, I wish I knew all the details, but maybe I got to get one for myself.
Yeah, you
go
should.
out and run a little bit.
Well, let's talk about something that you probably do know the details about, and that's the new 4-wheel drive,
Yes.
which like everybody's been waiting forever to come out. How old is the current, not the platform before this? How old is it?
Let's see. The 22.4 came out. We ran it at the Worlds in Chico in 2013. I want to say it came out later that year. So yeah, it was 6 years old. It was time for an update.
Yeah. Why so long when other people are bringing them out every 2 years? And you did upgrade the 2-wheel drive in that time, but what took you so long to upgrade the 4-wheel drive?
Well, so the 22.4 2.0 was really killing it. I mean, we won every race for like almost 2 years between Mayfield and Dakota. And everything was going well. And then overnight, the X-Ray car came out, which was really good. And then Ty switched to X-Ray. So now you got somebody fast running that car. Associated came out with the B64, leaving the B44 platform behind. And the performance level of the class just jumped a step. And we were in the hard spot. I think you're always getting, when you're ahead of the pack, you're always going to get overrun at some point, and we did. And for us, it wasn't an easy or a short project, because to go where we needed to go, we needed to change the entire platform. It wasn't just like, oh, we make the chassis a little bit longer, or do this or that, because we already had a shaft drive platform in place. Like, we had to go from a full belt setup to a full shaft drive setup. That's a lot of pre-design, prototype testing, figuring out where we want to go with things. And we also wanted to make sure that what we came out with was going to be at least as good or better than what else was out on the market at the time. And it just kind of, it caught us in a weird time cycle, and then it took us a little while to get the car going. And now we're almost there. Car should be out in, 4 to 6 weeks, a little bit later than we were planning towards, but really excited to get it out there and get it in everybody's hands.
So you was deeply involved in this, I take it. And I can hear it when you describe a lot of pride in it and whatnot. Dakota done really well with it at the Worlds. Oh man. There's like him and Coelho they look like they were just so on edge with those cars, and 2-wheel drive too. But yeah, it did really well. It came out. People's been waiting for it. I'm sure it's going to fly off the shelves because all the TLR guys have been waiting for it. But what do you personally like about this car that you think others will really enjoy and notice?
Yeah. So one of the ways I try to make the TLR cars differentiate from other cars is, I'm a racer and I race these cars all the time. And there's a lot of little things that go into how we try to develop our cars. And some people might look at them and call them inconsequential. But I think that they really add to the user experience. So let's say a little thing like we have a built-in fan mount in our car. Everybody runs a fan in 4-wheel. Everybody. Nobody had a fan mount until our car came out.
That's smart. Little things like that.
You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. So did I need to spend an extra 2 days having the engineer draw up the fan mount and blah, 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 and the extra, 50 cents to put it in the kit? Like, no, we didn't need to do that. We wouldn't have been behind on that level. But those types of user experiences, like, that's the thing where, like, if I built a car and I got done building the car, I was like, really? Like, I still got to servo tape a fan mount to my chassis or a fan to my chassis. Like, that's the type of thing where we try and raise that user experience, because there's how the car performs on the track. There's how often your car needs to be maintenance. And there's how easy your car is to work on and maintain. Because most people that buy RC cars, they go to the same track week after week, and it's like, how much of a headache is it to run the car, or how much or how efficient is it to run the car? And that has a lot to do with how much people enjoy the car. So we got little things like that. We like the way that a lot of the cars attach the painting gear, I think is a little bit of a hassle or leaves you at risk of a failure. And like we came up with a different way to do that. It's secured with a lock nut that won't come loose, and like a serrated spring washer. So just little things like that we try to improve. I mean, I think in general, most of the 10th scale 4-wheel drive off-road cars are relatively close in terms of layout and geometry. I'd say the biggest decision that we had on the project was how important were adjustable diff heights. And we felt like we had the right diff heights, and we also felt like our car was going to be better off if it could be lighter to forego, the kind of aluminum bulkhead structure that would be required to have adjustable diff heights in a 4-wheel drive. So our car, like Dakota's car at Reedy Race, had 30 grams of brass in it to get up to minimum weight. And that's not common for most 4-wheel drives.
Where did you put that weight in did you put like brass diff razors or anything like that? Or you was talking about diff height. So
yeah, so Dakota's car, Spectrum makes a 2-in-1 receiver servo.
Mm-hmm.
So our servo side of the car is generally a little bit lighter than our speed controller side. So we just had it behind the servo next to the center line of the chassis.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool. So it sounds exciting. Like little things like just having a fan mount makes a difference, like you said. So it's going to be good to see what happens when the consumer gets this car and what happens with it. So yeah, it's exciting.
I think
times.
It's going to be good.
And one more question while we're on TLR. Gil Losey Jr. What does Gil Losey Jr. bring to TLR now, and how will he help things out there?
Yeah, so Gil started working back with us, like, I guess maybe 14 or 15 months ago. And he is a consultant. He works with us generally 3 days a week. He's in the office usually like 1 day a week, and he works with a lot of people in a lot of areas. He has an immense amount of experience and knowledge. I mean, the guy's like an encyclopedia. If let's say we're having a failure with a plastic part, I mean, you just show him the part and he'll help you figure out, what's going wrong. And he has so much experience with different materials to try, or different processes for molding, or machining processes. So there's that side of things. Me personally, I've probably gotten to work with him as much as anybody in terms of the race stuff. I mean, he's been really involved with the 4-wheel drive project, and he's working with me on improving some of our 2-wheel drive stuff at the moment too. And I know he's been working with Dunford a little bit on the 8 scale side of things as well. And it really is nice to work with him because he has a different view than just about everybody else. So let's say I go to the carpet track and I'm running my car and I'm like, okay, I want a little more steering here. I need a little more stability there, or I need it to land this better. And, he might say something like, oh, well, the timing of the car is off, and it looks like you're having to give your inputs a little bit too early. And then if you miss your timing, then you miss the turn. And I don't know if it's necessarily not enough steering. And so he has like a higher view on a lot of things. And I have a little bit of a different view, and working together with him has been just super beneficial for myself, and the projects I work on, and TLR as a whole.
Sweet. Awesome. Another person that I need to get on this podcast and pick his brain and tell his story. So good. It sounds like
you'll have a lot of fun with him.
I'm sure. I'll see him again. He agreed to come on. I've just been lazy and never got him topics and got caught up. But it sounds like, from talking to you, sounds like TLR's in a good place and that they'll be racing for a lot longer. So that's good. That's good to see because it's iconic and I don't want to see it go. I like to see the good old AE versus TLR battles come back, but it would be a lot more companies involved. But yeah, I like it. So should be good.
we hear those comments from time to time, like, oh, is TLR going to keep racing, or are they going to, they still going to be around, or, every time we lose a driver, it's like, oh, are they going out of business? And just, it's all, just being on the inside, it's almost comical, because it's Horizon Hobbies, one of the biggest companies in the entire industry, not just on the race side of things. And we've put ourselves in a position where we're solid, from a business side of things. Like, we're not, we'd love to see the industry be larger and to expand, but we're not really worried about anything. Right. We're going good. And it's some of the decisions that we've had to make that are hard decisions that might have people kind of wondering, that have put us in a position where, Horizon is doing well. So, we had, obviously Hobbico didn't make some of those decisions to kind of keep things in check at certain times, and they weren't able to remain in business. So it's, TLR is doing great. Horizon's doing great. We have a little bit smaller of a race team than we did 4 or 5 years ago. But if we're being honest, the industry is a little bit smaller than it was. And proportionally, we're right in line with where we used to be. And we're solid on a business level. So everything's doing great here. And we're not going to stop making cars at all. We're not going to stop our racing program, our race team. And we actually have a lot of really exciting things in the works that I think people are going to be really happy and impressed with. And the 4-wheel drive is just part of that.
Awesome, man. And people have to realize that Horizon is much more than just surface RC. They're into the boats, planes, you name it, like everything they have everything.
Yeah. Well, I mean, okay. So in the US, Horizon Hobby is the largest hobby distributor just as a distributor, not even if you count all of the Horizon product. And then, we make, Horizon owns the brands of TLR, Losi, Axial, Viterra, Arma, Proboat, ECX, Spectrum, Dynamite. We distribute OS engines exclusively in the US. Trying to think, like Blade, Hangar 9, E-Flight, Revolution, and so many other brands. You just keep going and going. So a lot of the largest brands in RC are part of the Horizon, portfolio. And it's a big company. I mean, TLR is part of it for sure. We have dedicated staff for TLR. We have we're on the lookout for a new team manager. We're having some interviews here in the not too distant future. And, we're not, that position didn't go away. We just are going to move to a different person once Kevin decided to leave.
I have a question, and it just kind of came to me. I forgot all about it. Do you think TLR kind of, when the whole thing with Drake, when he left or whatever happened with Drake, him having to leave TLR or whatever, did that affect you guys a bit as well?
Yeah, I think it did. I mean, it definitely didn't publicly. The perception wasn't really good. And Adam's a great guy. I still consider myself friends with him, even though I don't see him all that often because I don't run Nitro. But I mean, he's a great guy. Rhonda's great, and he has a lot of friends that went with him that made the change at the same time that he did, which I totally get. And yeah, so it definitely didn't help. I mean, there were specific reasons why there was a change of direction. I really don't want to get in and rehash all those right now, but
no worries.
It didn't help us. That's for sure. I mean, Adam's a really accomplished racer.
Yep.
But even more than that, like Adam's results are always hard work and preparation. And I don't think I think he would say this too. Like, he's really talented, but he's not maybe as talented as his results have been. Mm-hmm. And the results that he's had come from his hard work and preparation and dedication to the hobby. So we relied on Adam a lot for our product development when he was here at that time. And I think that's where, it took us a little while to kind of get back on our feet in terms of the direction that we were going with the car without having our main driving force behind it still here.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. I would agree with that. Looking from the outside in. But yeah, and he's popular, dude. So, you know, like when he left, a lot of people went with him, but it's been a slow regroup, and I think you guys are in a good spot now. Race wise. I see it. I see it. So, like, I know I'm gonna see a big tent compound be put up like they did at DNC last year, and that even shocked me. Last year at DNC, it's like, wow, TLR didn't really have anything in Arizona, but this year they're stacked. So impressive. It's gonna be good. I can't wait. To see what DNC holds. Same. All right, stock. No, I don't know jack shit about stock racing besides the fact that it looks really expensive, right? And I read up on you, and I agree with a few things you say about stock. I'm kind of like this. If the best are racing mod, I want to race what the best are racing. You know what I mean? That's where I want to be. And it just seems like mod is stock. This is what I said to somebody. I said mod is stock now and stock is mod. It's like reverse, because mod seems cheaper. It's harder to drive because you can use faster motors, but I mean, just stock racing it's very popular. Like I couldn't even believe that there's people out there making money off stock racing, like professional, quote unquote, professional stock racers, right? And it's nothing wrong with that. But I mean, isn't mod supposed to be the upper echelon of RC racing? And isn't that what the worlds are based on and all that type of stuff? So I don't know. I'm just kind of confused about all this stuff.
Yeah, it is a little complicated when you look at it. So I think the number one problem that we have today is that stock motors are just too fast. So you have these 17.5 motors that are just, I mean, the motor manufacturers have really figured things out. Whether you're talking like Phantom or Sure Speed or Motive, or Trinity, whoever's making the fast stock motor at the moment. I mean, the cars in 17.5 are just too fast. And you're starting to see some more of this 21.5 class pop up. Mm-hmm. And I'm kind of hoping that in about 2 years-ish, the 21.5 is the new stock class. I think that slowing the cars down a little bit will make it easier for people that are outside the hobby, to enter into the hobby. Mm-hmm. And I think it's going to kind of give a little bit of a nudge to some of the guys who have maybe stayed in 17.5 past when I would have liked them to kind of move into modified, because the cars won't be fast enough to give them that excitement anymore.
Right.
Because I think that's what it comes down to. Like the layout before Reedy race, we're down there testing, and like, I think my fast lap was like a 19.8 on that layout. And we're talking a track with like 115 foot straightaway. I mean, like straightaway for days. And I drive my buddy Travis Fisher's stock buggy for like 6 laps, and I do a 20.1. It's only 0.3 off, and it's so fast. It's like, who needs a headache of running mod because the car is harder to drive, right? Like, I enjoy that challenge, but a lot of people, they just want to feel like they're going fast, and they get that from stock. So I think if we go to 21.5, that'll really help. In terms of like stock versus mod cost, I agree that stock racing might be the same expense as mod. I wouldn't say it's more expensive. You'll spend a little bit more on batteries and chargers and maybe motors. But in mod, you're going to wear out more tires. So you're still going to, fight that battle. So I'd say it's probably about even. But yeah, when I was coming up, I couldn't wait to run mod. I was just like, wanted to get good enough at stock that somebody would be like, hey, come run mod with us. And then I would go do it. And we have some guys now that they get fast in stock and they just stay. But like, there's been a few guys lately that I thought might do that I've seen jump up to mod. So maybe that is kind of taking a turn the other way again.
Maybe it is.
Yeah. You go you go to some tracks and you can't even get mod club racing. They just club race stock. Like OCRC doesn't have a mod class half the time.
Is stock the class to get? I saw you say this, and I agree with you. Is stock the class to get new people in, or do we need a spec class? Do we need like a? I think we need a. I say this all the time. I think we need a spec class. I'm gonna need my spec. Yeah, it could be the 21.5 motor, but like the car has to be a certain, like, can't be too light. It has to be, so people don't get into all this tinkering. And so they can get into tinkering later. I don't know. I just think that's, when somebody has to, you need to get this high-tech charger to zap your batteries or just all this type of stuff that I heard these stock racers talking about that they do to get that extra edge. I would really like to see a spec class come up. And that's for new people. And that's to get new people into what we're doing. What do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, we've had some spec classes in the past. Like I remember when the Slashes first came out, everybody ran that as a spec class. And it's definitely good to get people in. The one thing about spec classes that I've noticed is that they've always happened organically. Like I don't know if, let's say I sat down with Todd and I said, I want to develop a car for spec racing. I don't know if we could really make that happen. Like we could put the product out there, but it's not within our hands to make that thing take off and become standard, right? It's really up to the tracks to be like, well, hey, why not? And this is working. And okay, now I have 15 guys. So if 5 of them don't come this weekend, I still have a class. And it kind of has to happen organically. Yeah, I see where you're coming from. I mean, like, I think that if we go to, I know that some of the tracks have been talking about, like if they go to 21.5 motors, of maybe having like a specific brand or 2 brands of motors that you need to run, and maybe a fixed gearing to kind of just try and chill it out a little bit. But aside from that, I mean, I think it's just, I think that's about as spec as we're going to get the way that the industry's built.
I mean, AE tried it with those Clubman cars or whatever they were called. Like, they were trying it with just to have like a spec race. It's difficult. But then I look over in Europe and they don't even run stock. It's like run what you bring. And I think that's probably a better way. But I mean, I don't know. I'm not a 10 scale. I'm not really big into 10 scale. It's something I follow when the big races are on. So I don't know. Different cultures too.
Yeah, we have big turnouts though. I mean, when we're running most of these 10 scale races today, I mean, you might have, let's say if you have 300 entries, probably 150 or 160 of them are 2-wheel drive buggy, and it'll be like 60 mods and 90 stocks or something like that. I mean, they're both classes are big, and they're, as much as we could say that stock needs to have something happen to it to be different, it's kind of hard to say that right now because it's also the biggest class that we have going. So, yeah, I mean, I do think that 21.5 would be, in the long run, is going to overall be a beneficial thing for the hobby as the batteries and the motors and everything continue to get better. And I think that for the guy who's, coming into the industry, it'll make it easier for him. And I'm a big proponent of having less classes and not having 300 entries spread over like 17 classes, having them spread over like 6.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
I want to race more people. I want to get to the top of the hill. The bigger the hill, the more satisfaction you get when you get to the top of it, type thing.
Sweet. The goal is, I think we just need to get more people in, period, no matter how. So whatever we can do, I'm all about that. Future of RC, dude. What's your opinion on the industry right now? You kind of said it earlier. It's shrunk a little bit, but it's still proportionate. I feel it needs to grow more. I want it to grow more. Obviously, I say that a lot. What's your opinion on how would you like to see us grow RC? Or what would be your idea to get this going?
Yeah, I mean, that's super tough. I mean, if it was super easy, we would execute it overnight. The last real growth that we saw in RC was when the Slash came out. It really helped things kind of come back. It got us to where people could enter the hobby for less, where performance wasn't as much for premium. and where you could take something that you see in the real world and bring it into the RC world. We haven't really had that in a while. I don't really know what the next thing would be to kind of make that happen. I mean, one thing's for sure, like there's kind of two customers, right? There's the customer that's already in the hobby, and there's the customer that's not in the hobby that we want to bring in. And the way that the performance of the vehicles is getting so good and the knowledge to get them to that kind of level, if you talk about the car being on, that razor's edge of performance, it's like we keep sharpening that blade and that point gets narrower and narrower. It takes more and more knowledge and experience to get to that point. And the cars are getting there along with that knowledge. And it's becoming harder, I think, for a person to come in and drive the car or to be able to get it to that performance point that it needs to be. So that's one thing that makes it challenging for new people to come into the hobby. But when you talk about everybody that's already in the hobby, that's what they're looking for out of these cars. So that's where, let's say if we went back to like rear motor cars, for example, they'd be easier for most people to drive. They'd allow maybe more people to get into the industry, but anybody that's in the industry now they wouldn't buy our car because they have to have a mid motor car to be competitive, for example. So that's where it's getting harder to have a car that's easy for the noob to drive. Easier to build, easier to set up.
We need another class like Slash to come along and do something. So
well, it kind of goes back to like what I was talking about with the oval cars earlier. Is like if you go to an oval race today, the amount of knowledge that is required to even be within a couple laps of the top guys takes a couple years to get. And if you're just some guy that like reads an instruction manual and puts his car together and shows up at the track, like your car is going to drive terrible and you're not really going to have a whole lot of fun. And we're not quite there in off-road, but things are kind of going that way. But I don't really know what the answer is, because if we stop going that direction, then we alienate our current customer base.
It's a conundrum, dude. We want to go forward in technology, but we also kind of have to dumb it down for the new people to come in. So, I never even thought of it that way, to be honest.
Yeah. But, I mean, we have a lot of things going for us. We have brushless and LiPo.
Yes.
I think that was also part of the big growth that we saw around the time of the Slash. I think that carpet racing could be good for the hobby. And I mean this because I think for me, the thing that I hear people complain about the most and the thing that I have the least fun doing is all the 10th scale tire prep, tire sanding, burning them in, doing tire saucing, all of that stuff. I mean, that's the least pleasant side of the hobby. But if you want to be competitive, or if you want your car to feel good like it should, you have to kind of do all that stuff. And I kind of have a feeling that we might see a little bit of a 10th scale back to 8th scale shift, just because you can go to Thunder Alley and just put on M3 hole shots and they're just going to work. You don't have to sand them or burn them in or do any of that. So we kind of, when things got easier in 10th scale, we saw people go from 8th scale to 10th scale a bit. I have a feeling that we might see some of that kind of go back the other direction a little bit here with the
e-buggy, dude.
Situation.
E-buggy, it pays the bills, and it's just growing. For the average racer, it's so easy to get into e-buggy and do well.
Yeah.
It's got power. It's easy to drive. But then again, like at the top echelon, it's still non-existent. Like you go to the E-Nets and it was 50 people attended. And it was on the East Coast this last year where e-buggy's popular. So I still think at the end of the day, Nitro is the glory. Like that's the top echelon. A Nitro and two-wheel drive buggy are the two top tiers echelons, of RC and off-road. Well, I think in surface racing, period.
Well, I mean, so for 10 scale, I think it's 2-wheel and 4-wheel. I mean, they're really close.
Oh yeah, of course.
Like, every top racer at every race is running both of those classes. It's truck and short course have kind of fallen into that distant third and fourth. But here's a kind of thing about the E nationals. If you took and you basically swapped the nationals, so instead of having a nitro national and an electric national, you had a buggy national and a truck national. You would have as many people go and run electric buggy at nationals as they would nitro buggy.
Yeah, of course.
And then the truck national would have the same kind of turnout that we currently see at the electric nationals. It's not that, it's more to do with the arrangement of those classes than it is necessarily the popularity of either of them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, e-buggy, it's just growing. It's just easy. I mean, even me, I love nitro, but right now, if I was to go to a track right now and I had to do my own stuff and then everything, I'd be like, yeah, let me just drive that e-buggy and have some fun. But I agree with you. And it's two different big races that you have to go to, like just about week-long races. So it's hard to schedule. So I don't know. But as battery technology gets better, I'm pretty sure we can do probably 15-minute e-buggy mains now without issues. So once that becomes the norm, then it's like, we can do 20 minutes, 25 minutes. But I don't want to think that far because I really like nitro. But nitro is just a very hard class, and you have to love it. You have to love being prepared. Not saying you have to be less prepared for other races, but it's a lot of work. So
it's like the amount of time on the track versus the prep time. It's not proportionate to electric, right? It's a lot more wrench time versus how much time you get to run. But I ran nitro back before I got involved in 10 scale product development because at the time I was just racing, so I did both, and I always enjoyed nitro buggy way more than e-buggy.
Yeah, pit stops, dude. Pit strategy, 45-minute races, 30-minute races. You can't go wrong there. It brings excitement to it. That, in my opinion.
I just feel like the cars drive better.
Dude, to carry more corner speed, I think. Because
I think it has a lot to do with the power delivery and the clutch systems that are built into them.
Well,
I
think e-buggy kind of has the power to just power out of everything. You can go around that corner, maybe not as fast as you need to, and then just blip, and you're over that jump. Where in nitro, you got to plan ahead. Okay, I got to hit this corner just right at this speed, brake right here. And you still have to do that in e-buggy too to be fast, but it takes a lot to learn how, nitro, you drive a nitro car very different from what you would drive an e-buggy. I think, me personally. Joseph doesn't agree with me, but I think e-buggy is easier to drive. But nitro, you gotta plan for that jump. If you can't, you gotta, it's not instant. I gotta carry speed and pick my line and do that. It is driving. I think they are faster in the end. But these e-buggies they're producing some incredible power, man. Well, too much power for people, if you ask me. Too much. So, good stuff.
You should drive the DBX LE 2.0. It's our 5th scale electric brushless vehicle. Runs on 8S.
That's probably crazy. It's probably
Dude, it makes you drool. It's just so fast.
It's insane.
It's awesome.
So you're into this. What? I get this question a lot. What do you think? Now, all right. I actually have two questions. I think I said it. I don't know if it was in the last podcast. I think we're all looking at the wrong place for the next bit of technology. But everybody wants to know what is next in chassis development. I want to know if I think I'm on the right track. That I think the next development is coming in radio technology to collect data to improve chassis development.
I could see that. I think that, well, actually, so I have a friend, my college roommate, who's an engineer at, it used to be Schmidt Peterson IndyCar team, but now it's like Aero McLaren SP, I guess. And he's an engineer there. So he's always asking me, he does some RC on the side in the off season. He's always asking me why don't we do data acquisition? Why don't we, do this or that? And It's like, well, you have, let's say, 20 IndyCar drivers in a field, right? And they're all going to be separated from the best guy to the worst guy by like a half a second over a minute lap. Like on the RC industry, like you have from the best guy to the guy in the back of the A heat, they might be separated by a second over a 30-second, 35-second lap, like at a nitro race. And then that guy is going to have 2 or 3 laps within his run that are probably going to be more than a second slower than his best lap. So there's just a lot more variance in terms of our ability to drive the cars consistently. So if you did all the data acquisition, almost all of it is just going to tell you how to improve your driving, because that's the biggest variable. Like, we're not consistent enough as drivers to, I think, use that data acquisition to improve the chassis beyond what it's going to show us we need to improve our driving. So let's say, for example, you did oval, like carpet oval racing, right? Let's say that's where the driving matters the least and the performance of the chassis matters the most. That would probably be the first place to start bringing in that data acquisition, because that would be the first place that you can improve the car to have tangible results on the track. Where, let's say, outdoor off-road, whether it's nitro or 10th scale, like that's where there's going to be the most variation in driving consistency and the least amount of performance based on the chassis. So most of the data acquisition is going to point towards improvements that need to be made on the driving side in terms of, oh, look, you did this turn 12 times and you only nailed the braking point once. Like, you need to work on the braking point before you worry about the rear grip of the car, for example. So that's where I think that's probably coming in, is just as drivers, without the seat of the pants feel, there's probably only, 20 or 30 guys in the world that are driving at a level where that kind of technology can even improve the cars. I think most of it's just going to come down to driving. So I think that's one of the uphill battles there. In terms of what I do think is going to be the next development on the chassis, I'm really not sure. I think right now, at least on the 10 scale side of things, it seems to be that everything is normalizing. I mean, everything's kind of going towards the same points, and it's more or less just everybody's getting inside of the same setup window, because as the tires and the tracks and the drivers get better and better and better, we're all needing the similar things out of the car, and we're running out of different ways to figure those things out. And that's not to say that anybody's, taking this design or taking that design or whatever. It's just, there's, only so many ways to skin a cat. And eventually we're all going to end up, if we're really doing the right thing, we're all going to end up at a similar place. And you see that with the F1 teams. I mean, if an F1 team comes out with some brilliant new concept that pushes the cars forward, like, okay, somebody back in the day said, oh, let's put a wing on our car. That'll be better. Well, by the next season, everybody had wings on their cars, because that's the best way to do it. So it's going to take something really different, really out of the box. It might be a literal change in technology. Like, what if we didn't use dampened shocks? Or what if we, used air-filled tires? I don't know what the thing is, but to be something completely different than what we're using now.
Well, and it comes back to the driver will evolve too. Like I like to say, back in my day, if you jumped and you could turn your wheels left or right or wiggle them, that was styling. Now you got guys scrubbing and whipping and setting up and brick, like cars, like turning, whipping cars where they're completely upside down and bringing them back around, or even just doing like tricks with cars now. So drivers are evolving too. And I think we're probably at a point right now where everybody's catching up to everybody else. And then the next group of drivers have to evolve that next driving style. And then that will also dictate what we want these cars to do. So it's going to be interesting.
Well, there's like a group of drivers now, especially on the 10 scale side, where they've never driven anything that didn't have like traction, like absolute traction. And they've never driven anything that broke. Like the cars today, I mean, you have to do something dumb to break a car, a 10 scale car. Like, you just don't break. So like we have this kid on our team. His name is Frankie Contreras Jr. I think he's 10, and he was in like the C main at Reedy Race. And like he's just full throttle, full pin, full lock, whipping over every jump. I mean, like I was pretty sure he was going to end up beating me at Reedy Race. Like I ended up beating him barely, but like, what's he going to be by the time he's 15?
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
He's at that age where he's learning how to do all of these things without any like fear of wrecking or consequences. Like when I learned how to drive off road, when you ran stock, you squeezed the trigger coming out of the turn. You know, you had to learn how to put down the power
right.
of a two-wheel drive car. You couldn't just pin it, and you couldn't use full brake. And you know, there was a real kind of finesse to the driving. So sometimes when we go back to worse tracks, some of the guys that are older tend to go up the result chart a little bit, just because they're, you know, more used to that. But man, you see some of these kids now, you just can't even believe what they can do with RC cars.
It's amazing,
like
man.
Mason Fuller, man. Sometimes I watch him jump and I'm just like, yep, I can't do that. Like, cool. Good for you.
Yeah. And these are like, you know, everybody's like, oh, 40 plus is the class that matters in RC. And yes, it does matter, because I know like people like me have disposable, well, not me, but people of my age have disposable income, and it makes up a big class. But the Mason Fuller and Randy Connect and all these young kids, those are the guys that are going to take this sport hobby to that next level. Period. I hope. That's my dream.
Yeah.
And when I mean next level, I mean in everything, like driving, technology, promotion, maybe not mainstream, but you know, definitely to that level where we can get on you, like we getting on Red Bull TV, Monster, and that type of stuff. That's where I see that generation and below taking our thing. I hope so. Anyway, that's my dream. So yeah, it's crazy, man. We're gonna be like, man, remember when this guy was doing whips and his car was upside down, and these guys are gonna be like, yeah, hold my juice box while I do this, and we're just gonna be like, damn, no way. So it's coming.
Yeah.
All right. What's one thing you would like to see change right now in our industry?
I wish we could get off slicks. The 10 scale off road. I think every single race last year, except for Reedy Race, was on slicks, and it's not fun to drive. It makes really bad habits, and I just don't enjoy it. I mean, I just don't like racing on them. I don't like really driving on them. I mean, a lot of people are like, oh, I just love the traction. It's like, but it's just, I don't know. It's not my thing. I don't think it's good for anybody. I surely don't like sanding tires down in the slicks all the time. And I hope that 10th scale indoor racing can find a way to reverse the trend of going to slicks at every race. Because even races that ended up being slick races, like at the end of the race a year ago, now they're slick races like before practice is over. So it's almost like accelerating. It's going the wrong way.
Yeah, that seems like a too much work to like buy tires, sand them down so you can go fast. Like, yeah, I don't know if that's not my thing. I just want to throw tires on and go. I'm not. I mean, even I'm sure there's tire prep in 8 scale too, but not to that extent.
Go
ahead.
Tire
Sorry.
prep in 8 scale, but like, I'm sorry. There's tire prep in 8 scale, but like if you're at, let's say, Nitro Challenge or Thunder Alley, or I mean, these guys they might mount 2 or 3 different treads or 2 different compounds or whatever, but they're not having to sand them and scrub them and sauce them and do all this stuff. Like, you know, these guys, the guys on our Nitro team, like Dakota and Tom, these guys that I talk to, like they really enjoy going to those races. But let's say like Padova, where that race is all about tire saucing.
Yeah.
Like the whole, like how good your car is 100% down to your tires and your saucing program. Like, I don't know anybody that likes going to that race that doesn't live in Italy.
And the fumes suck. That's all I've heard.
Yeah. and I'm sure that it's a great track and the guys that run it are awesome, but just because of the tire saucing, none of our guys ever want to go to that race.
Yeah.
Because it's like, they're like, we just don't have a fair shot. And unfortunately, from the 10 scale side of things, that's like every race we go to. Now, everybody has a fair shot because that's all that we run on. Everybody knows the tires and the sauce and everything, but it's just kind of takes some of the fun out of it.
And now we've got people like bacon and sauce, an 8 scale, tire warmers and all that stuff. And I get why they're doing that. But yeah, I don't want it to get too, like, this is like 8 scale is the last like outdoor type off-road stuff we're doing here. Yes, they do run 10 scale off outdoors in some areas, but it's few and far between. So yeah, I want to throw roofs. I want to roof somebody and spray them a tire marshal with dust or rocks or something. So like motocross, man, like supercross. That's what I like to see. All right, well, we're coming on to the end of the interview or the chat here. How do we? I hate this. I have a pet peeve with this, and it aggravates me to the utmost. And it usually comes from people when they ain't doing well at a race. How do we eliminate this stigma that the general public has that we just play with toy cars? Because I don't think I play with toy. Well, I don't race anyway, but I don't think what I talk about is toy cars. I call it scale motorsports or radio control car racing, but definitely not a toy.
Well, I think it's careful. You got to be careful though, because you don't want to swing too far the other direction, right? Like, okay, if it's definitely not a toy car. You're not buying it at Radio Shack or Toys R Us. It takes time and dedication to get good at it, like any real hobby or sport would. But at the same time, you don't want to scare people away from, like, you don't want to make it sound too complicated and too complex that they're afraid to enter into it. Because if we don't have new people coming in the hobby, then the hobby's not going to last too long. And you see that with, let's say, model airplanes or model railroading. Like, a lot of the people that are into that hobby are a little on the older side, and that hobby shrinks as the demographic gets older and older. So you got to be able to have young people come into it. And I think that's where, they're not toy cars, but we don't want to make them sound like they're F1 cars either. And they're just, the technology is so insane that
we're so nerdy. We brag about it. Like, oh yeah. And I do too, because I'll be like, these cars, you could do this, you can do that. I don't like telling people how much they cost, because that scares people away too. And I'm like, you can get started you can buy used and then graduate to buying new stuff. Because if you're going to get hooked and you're going to buy used, you're going to eventually end up spending a lot of money. Anyway, it's going to happen.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's kind of the downside. Is, let's say if you wanted to go race 10 scale buggy, I mean, and you're starting from scratch, right? You don't have a charger, you don't have tools, you don't have anything. I mean, you're looking at $2,000. Right, the kit's $330, but like, you got to buy a charger, you got to buy 2 batteries, you got to buy a motor, a speed controller, a personal transponder, tires. You got to buy all the tools,
radio, everything,
something to take your stuff into the track. I mean, it's just that's one thing that as an industry we need to resolve, is there needs to be an easier entry point. And like you mentioned, Associated had the I forget what they called them. They were like the entry level car that came with them.
I can't remember what they're called. I've said it a few times.
Yeah, but it didn't really seem to work for whatever reason. We as an industry, that's one thing that we need to improve. Is it needs to be easier to get in.
I agree. But we get so bragging about how much we spend, and what we're really doing is we're shooting ourselves in the foot, because people's like, what, $3,000 for all this stuff? Like, wow, I wanted to spend $700. And you know what? Somebody can probably get into the hobby for $700. It would be maybe not the best stuff, but they can. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
So you have kids, dude. Would you like to see your kids follow in your footsteps in RC? Would you like to see them run RC stuff or get into it? Do you think they will?
Yeah. I mean, if they want to, one thing as a parent is I really don't want to force anything on them. I'd definitely like for them to be involved in some team sports at some point, because I think that teaches you a lot of good things,
Yes.
keeps you active. I mean, personally, I think that I gained a lot from being in the RC hobby when I was a teenager. I mean, you learn a lot about responsibility. You know, if you leave your wheel nut loose and your tire falls off, like, there's a cause and an effect, and like, you know, it teaches you those lessons. You know, and learning proper etiquette on the track and things like that. I mean, I think that all that's good. I was really into it in a way where maybe I let my racing get in the way of some of my school stuff. And that's one thing that I know, especially my wife's really keen on not happening with our kiddos. So we'll have to kind of see how that goes. But yeah, I mean, if my kid wants to do it, I'll get him set up with everything. No problem. But I'm also going to make him work on his cars, and I'm not just going to be there to be pit pop, you know? Like,
Yeah.
I think that's the way that, you know, as soon as, like, I mean, within a year of racing, I think the only thing that my dad still did was like solder.
Okay. I see
You know,
that
when
too
I was
much
11,
too.
like,
Dads
yeah, I
that
mean,
want to
you
do
just gotta-
everything. They gotta teach their children, I believe, like, to work on their own stuff. It benefits them in the long run, you know. But some dads don't want to do that. So,
well, because I think that that's one of the biggest benefits of the hobby is just learning that how to work on things. You pick up some of those just base mechanical skills and understanding of how things work, and that the responsibility of like having your car prepped and the disappointment when things don't work out because the car wasn't prepped or whatever. Like, those are the lessons that, you know, I hope my kid takes from it more than winning a race. So yeah, I would lean more towards that than just doing everything for him.
cool. Any advice for up and coming young racers?
For me, it was just practice. But when I say that, I think you need to gain experience, and the best way to do it is to club race. And if you're going to get more track time, and if you're going to practice, it's more important to get good track time than it is just to get track time. And what I mean by that is, if you're running on like blown out tires, or your shocks are leaking oil, or your diff is really gritty, or your car's just not working the way that it should, and you're going out there and just driving the drive, you're not really learning a whole lot. You need to make sure that your car is in the proper condition for racing if you're going to be practicing. And I see a lot of guys do that where they, you know, bad practice isn't really practice. You need to have good practice. So
Yeah.
run as much as you can, race as much as you can, for sure. You know, and yeah, the best practice that you can get is racing. And then if you're going to practice, make sure that it's good practice.
Practice with a purpose, dude. We preach that. Cool, man. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we sign off here that we probably didn't touch base on?
No, I think we pretty much covered it. I'd just like to thank my sponsors real quick.
Yeah, no problem.
Team Losi Racing, Horizon Hobby, Spectrum RC, and then Proline, Motive RC, much more racing, Bradley Fine Line Designs, Stick It One Graphics, LiveRC.com, RC Speed Secrets, and Lunsford RC.
Sweet, man. Well, I appreciate your time. I don't know if you're going to come by DNC. If you do, I hope to meet you in person. And I appreciate you coming on here and sharing some of your knowledge, dude. It was a great chat. I appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. And I am going to try and come by DNC and see everybody out there.
Cool. Well, thank you. And I'll see you next week.
All right. Sounds good.
Tekno RC. Tekno RC. Tekno RC is a premium manufacturer specializing in 8th and 10th scale high-performance off-road RC buggies and trucks. Visit www.teknorc.com for a complete catalog of their products. Tekno RC. Excellence in engineering. #Tekno Takeover.
So, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the NNRC Hotline, brought to you by Tekno RC. I'm here on my own this week because Rupert is occupied. He's a little bit busy. He's getting in science mode for DNC. So I think he might be at Hot Rod Racing, maybe? I don't know. Anyway, let's see. We have somebody that's calling us. Let's patch them through and see what's going on. And hello, who am I talking to?
I'll give you one guess.
I didn't hear you. Who was it? Sorry?
Adam Ross from Canada.
What's up, Adam Ross? How you doing? Everything okay, eh?
Oh, man, just digging out at all these snowstorms we keep having.
Yeah, how is the weather up there? Is it like, are you guys getting a lot of snow right now?
Well, I got drug out to a 10-scale on-road race in Niagara Falls, which is just across from New York.
Mm-hmm.
And we got stuck on the 403 at midnight Sunday night, and I had to work at 5 in the morning. So, yeah, it was fun.
Good times in RC. So what's going on, man? How are you?
Heck yeah. I am fan-freaking-tastic. A little plug there to your buddy Jeff Keaton.
Yes.
But no, everything's good. Just working on a few things. I got to troll a little bit online. Kids are off because the teachers are striking, and just get to have a little bit of me time now that it's past 8 o'clock. So this timing was perfect.
Yeah, man. Sweet. Yeah, I'm kind of doing this alone tonight. I wasn't going to do them, but I said I'll do them and see if anybody calls. Then we do 15, 20 minutes. That's fine. So anything you want to talk about in particular concerning RC? Anything, a question I might be able to answer, or anything on your mind?
Yeah. Thanks to you, that Montpellier race in France was awesome.
Hey.
And even though I got the spoiler, it was still good. I watched the whole thing. Thanks to you.
You know, a lot of people were like, oh, it has no jumps. But if you go and watch Ryan Lutz's track walk, you can see how hard that track is. And
the right side looked crazy hard.
It was
different. The jumping. Oh, yeah. No, it was good.
Yeah.
Good.
And it made for great racing. Okay, Canas checked out. He did. I'm not going to say he didn't. He checked out. But he was fast. He was fast at the warm-up, and he was fast at this race. And his tires, seismic tires, were the tires to be on. So he was going. Kudos to Canas. But, man, Ongaro, Runafalk, and Boots battled the whole time, dude. The whole time.
It was epic.
Yeah, it's crazy, dude. It's really crazy, man. That is a true European race, like Euro-style race. You know, it's not too many tracks like that polished concrete, pavers, banks. Like, anybody who says that track's easy really needs to go watch that track walk. And I'm glad you tuned into it. And if you actually go and watch last year's race, it was even more exciting, the final. So,
well, yeah, no, I heard you talking about that, but just going back to like the track walk with Ryan Lutz and him picking out the lines and all that, and we all know Lutz is a fan favorite, and he's one of the ones that I look up to in the industry, and he struggled there. Like, he was a tick behind.
He was well behind. I mean, he didn't get to the semis. And the guy who beat him out, you got to go watch his quarterfinal. The guy who beat him out, Carlos Duras, he's Portuguese guy. He actually made the final last year. And I feel bad for Lutz
as well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they kind of know that track. But this guy I think Lutz kind of went into this race already, like in his mentally defeated. He was like, it's going to be hard. All these guys have practice laps, and they had to warm up her. But that race is hard. Mayfield went to that race a few years ago, and he ended up finishing 7th. So
yeah, it is definitely a testament to all the Europeans coming up, and I hope, like you said, that the Americans start to travel more to Europe. But on the same note, I do hope to see what DNC has in store, because I know a lot of people are getting geared up for it.
Oh man, like me, that Montpellier race just got me all ready and excited for DNC. I'm so hyped up for next week. So it's going to be good, and hopefully I can bring some good, inside information and just some good ambience from the race. We'll see how it goes. But I got some plans, and I'm going to be watching this. It's going to be great.
I'm hoping that the No Name RC podcast blows up this year, because you're doing a fantastic job. But what I would love to see is, because of you, I watched that race. But if hopefully we could do some Patreon thing or something like that, that we can get you down to that race, and you could actually, instead of translating it, just have your 2 cents in there, because I'd rather watch you and listen to you on the race days, because honestly, I couldn't understand anything. All the interviews were in French, everything like that. You know what I mean? So I skipped a lot of the stuff and I got to the key stuff. But yeah, it would be awesome to see you there in 2021.
I would love to. Even Joseph was like, I think I want to do Montpellier next year. And I was like, you should. And I should go with you.
Yeah, you should hype him up for that, man. Be like, yeah, you think you're fast, let's do it. But I'm curious, how do you think he's going to do at the race this weekend coming up?
Well, Joseph, he's going up. Him and Greg are going to Santa Barbara this weekend to practice. It's a really good track. They're going to be up there all weekend. I think Joseph will do good in truggy and e-buggy like he always does. If he's good, he can be high up in the B main. But it's going to be it's some fast dudes coming. And I got to see. I'm not sure. Like, I don't know who's coming. I can't see who's coming. Maybe I have to go on RC sign up. But it's going to be some fast guys coming. And I guess it just depends which Joseph shows up. You know? So he's got confidence. And he was like this in 2018. And he was doing well. And then he got disqualified. So we'll see. I'll see. I'll judge him. Maybe I have to kick him in his nuts or something like that to get him started. We'll see what happens.
Now, I know you have something special planned and this and that. Now, you are going up and you're going to be trying to do a podcast or live call-in or like what?
We're going to try and do this. Plan? We're going to try and do this, but like Facebook Live it and have people call in. And I'm going to try and have like maybe Runafalk and maybe somebody else with me and Joseph. And we'll do and I'm also looking to do maybe some pit walks, like video, but actual video and all that type of stuff. And just bring like a daily report of the race and a walk around and not just talking to the pro guys, but to everybody that's there. Because that's what I like about DNC too, is the atmosphere is so great. Like everybody's excited to be there and it's good.
Bring that atmosphere to the internet, because without you broadcasting and posting about this stuff, a lot of people wouldn't be exposed to it. So you got to give yourself some credit where credit's due. And I hope that this blows up for you, because I think that this is awesome, because you are bringing this to the mainstream, and hopefully that everybody else starts sharing it and blowing it up even more.
Yeah,
I want to see 5,000 likes, and as soon as we get to 5,000 likes, 10,000 is right around the corner.
Yeah. We're at almost at 2,500, but it's a slow process, and you know I'm really overwhelmed, and it's a pleasure to see like I get messages from people and how much this podcast means, you know, how much they enjoy it. And they like how Joseph and I banter, and the interviews that we bring are pretty good. So we can't do it without you guys, man. So I appreciate the support from you guys, and I just trying to bring you the ambience and what I feel and what we kind of feel and the kind of stuff I wanted to know when I wasn't really working in the industry. I'm not really in the industry because I'm not there all the time, but you know, Joseph knows his stuff, and he I think it's cool. Like, podcasting's awesome, man, and it's an outlet. So kudos to all the podcasts that get to do it. So I like them all.
Yeah, well, we appreciate it, and I know you spread it around, because I hear you pumping them all up, and because of you, I actually got experience to different genres in the racing scene, and we're about to blow up that drag racing scene in the 519 come spring. But like I said, with all the snow and all that, everybody's just building and showing pictures, and man, I got the itch, and the only thing that I can do to feed it is that 10 scale on-road stuff right now. But I'm building Nathan's new 8 scale buggy, getting ready for some warmer weather, and oh man, we can't wait to get out there.
Well, if I do come to PMB, I'm sure I'll see you guys there, and I'll come over and have a beer with you.
Oh man, beer's on me if we're meeting up there for sure. But I know the wife said something about Wicked Weekend, so we might be looking at that as well.
That's a good race too.
We want to try and. Oh man, we had so much fun last year, so I think that was left a good taste in my wife's mouth. So I think if she gives us the thumbs up, we're going to pull the trigger again.
Sweet, man. But I know you'll have fun, because all you crazy Canadians, I love you guys. You guys know how to have a good time. I like that. So I know wherever you guys go, it's going to be fun.
You know what? You keep it fun, people keep coming back. That's the way I look at it.
All right. Well, dude, you stay safe in that snow and stay warm and keep on racing, and good luck with your no prep. And thank you for all your support, man. And you know, you can hit me up anytime. Anytime you want.
Heck yeah, man. I love it, man. You're so reachable. You talk back to everybody, and keep doing what you do, bud. We love it.
I thank you, and thank you for the support, dude. Have a good evening.
All right, see you later.
All right, bye-bye. Thanks, Adam. That's Adam Ross. He's from Canada. Up next, we have somebody from Florida. What's up? Who am I talking with?
Hey, how you doing? This is Tony, man.
What's up, Tony? How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm all right, man. Just chilling, talking some RC. Well, how about you? What you been up to?
I hear that. Not much, man. I just wanted to call in and say hi to you and chat with you for a quick second, man. And before I take my wife to the movies. And
oh yeah, what movie you gonna go see?
Yeah, man. She wants to go see this movie. It's a Korean movie.
Oh, Parasite.
Parasite.
Yeah. I was just reading about that.
Out real quick.
Sweet. So what's up, man? What part of Florida are you in?
Actually, man, my number is from Florida, but we live in Georgia.
Oh, that's why I'm so confused. It's Tony Chandler. What's up?
Yeah.
I didn't pick up on the voice.
Hey,
all right.
Yeah, sorry, I should have told you my last name.
Yeah, man. What's up, dude? So what's up, man? You got a question for me?
Not too much, man.
You got something on your mind about RC? How's your son doing?
Oh, he's doing great, man. That's why I wanted to call. Just wanted to call and tell you thank you for, personally tell you thank you for the opportunity. And it's great being part of the team so far this year. And we really look forward to getting out there and racing these cars some more and learning more about the JQ brand.
Yeah, man.
And just wanted to touch base with you.
I appreciate your support, man. And it's good to see. I love father-son teams. I really do. And actually, I was just talking to Chauncey. I was like, hey, what time are you getting in next week? Because it's coming to DNC. It's like, I'll be there in the morning, and Mitch and Cody get there. So it's going to be, I'm looking forward to that, man. I'm really looking forward to meeting Chauncey. And go ahead.
That's going to be one of our races next year, I think, man. We're going to try to hit up the DNC. I think our big race this year probably will be the PNB. So hopefully you can come make that.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
And then, of course, the Wicked Weekend is in our backyard.
Yep. Love that race. I actually would love to go and race that race, but I don't think it's going to happen this year. I really would like to go to the Worlds this year. I really do. I've never been to one. I've never been to Brazil.
Would be nice.
So if I can go, if it's like Wicked Weekend or the Worlds and Brazil, I'm sorry. I'll have to do Wicked Weekend next year. I'm going to go to the Worlds in Brazil. So we'll see how it goes.
I don't blame you, man. That's a chance of a lifetime there.
All right. Well, tell Joe
my son is super excited, man.
Oh, is he?
I'll let him know that I talked to you.
Tell him I said what's up.
Just got him on. I got him on VRC, man. He's practicing away, so he's ready for the season, and
that helps.
Can't wait to see how he does. I think I might turn into a Mitch pretty soon, man. I don't know.
Yeah, there you go.
With him getting on the track, him racing more, and probably wanting to do more different heats, and I think he wants to race Nitro as well.
That's a boy.
So
that's a good.
Might be looking at jumping into the Nitro field too as well.
You know what? That's me. I love that. I love her and that. So I'm excited. So yeah, let's get that. Let's get Joe a Nitro car and get him running some Nitro.
Yes, sir. That's what's up.
All right, man. Well, tell Joe I said what's up. Keep practicing on VRC because it does help. And you and your wife enjoy Parasite.
Oh yeah, I will for sure.
Yeah, man. Appreciate your call, man.
Thanks
and thank you for
man.
your
Good
support.
To talk to you soon.
All right, dude. Talk to you later.
Yes, sir. Definitely.
Bye-bye.
Have a good one, Keenan.
You too.
All right. Bye-bye.
Oh, I think we have an international call. I wonder if they're going to answer. A call from Bermuda. Maybe they'll hang up. Let's see. Yo, what's up?
What's up?
Oh, it's the salty one. What's up?
Everything's cool, man.
Why you so low? Talk up. Hey, this is the infamous Salty
I am
Joe.
talking up. Yeah.
You can't say that on TV.
I didn't really want it to. I didn't want to.
That's all right. That's how we talk to each other.
To you anyway.
I know. You're all hanging off JQ's nuts now. You're all about JQ. You know?
I wanted to ask him a question, and he's not here, and I'm pissed.
Well, you know what you do? Send him a very bad voice note. But everything's cool, Salty?
It don't make no difference if I send him a bad voice note. He's just going to say, okay.
Yeah, that's all. You're going to PNB now, right?
Yes.
All right. I think I'm going to have to try and make that happen. I think I'm going to have to like physically hurt Joseph and make him take me to PNB this year. We'll see what happens. Should be good.
Yeah, I think you figure.
Oh yeah, we'll see what happens. Hey, I gotta call up Albert and
As
tease
long
him.
as you don't sleep with me, you're all right.
Why you snore too? What are you talking about? I heard you snore when we was at RCGP.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, turn over, you're snoring too long. That's what I remember. I was like, all right.
Wake up in the morning. I slept all morning because of you.
Hey, well, Alicia's up early to go get the coffee.
That
That's a
was you.
good thing.
Yep.
All right. Hey, well, let me go. I
So
got
what's up?
nothing much. I'm just chilling, man. I'm just chilling. I actually got a few people calling, so I gotta get to them as well. So yeah. And I know you're on.
Yeah. I'll call next week when we're talking to somebody smart. Anyway.
Yeah, when you can talk to somebody that can give you answers. All right. I'll talk to you later.
All right.
All right. Bye-bye.
Yeah, man. Cool.
Bonjour.
Hello.
What's up,
It's that time
Kevin?
of the week again.
Kevin, you are a
good.
You are a habitual call-in junkie now. Happy belated birthday to you
But
too.
can we do it? Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Is that okay, or is that bad that I call?
No,
every
that's
week?
fine. I just don't know if I can answer all your questions. So that you have JQ
I'll-
isn't with me this week. So what's going on? How was your birthday?
I'll try and not. It's good. I was racing, broke a servo, but that sucked. But it's life. But I had a blast with the buddies, and it's just fun, man.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. A good way to enjoy your birthday.
There's worse ways. Yeah, there's worse ways to spend your day.
So hey, did you watch any of Montpellier? Because you speak French, so you would have understood what was going on.
It's funny because French in Quebec and French in Canada in general is a bit different than what the French people talk.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm actually on the JQ Racing French groups also in France. And I cannot understand half of what they say. They don't use the same terms.
Really?
Yeah. There's a couple of different expressions I really don't understand.
It's like Spanish. Dominican
So
Spanish is like so much different.
Yeah,
from every
exactly.
other
It's the
Spanish.
exact same thing as Spanish people. Like people in Spain talk different from people in Dominican Republic and Cuba, and they talk different from people in Argentina. So
yeah.
it's just the way it is.
So what's up, man? You got a question? You got something to get off your chest about RC? Something?
Yeah, so no rent this week.
Okay.
Basically, I have a question, and you can probably answer it. What do you see people at big races? Like, there's a lot of downtime at big races. What do you people see doing wrong, or what do you suggest people do with their spare time? Like, is there something that should be specifically done wrenching? How to check how the track is? Because obviously at big races, also the track tends to change a bit. So, like for new racers or for people in general that are not used to go to big races or something like that, what do you suggest that people should do in their downtime?
Well, usually you have enough time, but that time can go away fast. So if you fart around and mess around, you'll find yourself rushing. I always suggest, check your screws, especially engine mounting screws and all that type of stuff. Make sure you haven't bent any hinge pins, anything like that. Just check everything. Make sure your car is clean. And if you need to glue up tires, make sure your tires are glued up in time and you're not rushing near the end, and you're hoping that they don't come unglued when you go up for your main. And just be ready, man, and have everything you need. Especially if you're going for a race. If your main's up, you want to have your spare tire or couple tires, spare wheel nuts, spare glow plugs, all this type of stuff. Zip ties, body clips, tape, all this type of stuff you want to have in preparation for your main because you never know what would happen. I think of back when Joseph was bumping up to the A-main in the truggy and he got in the crash and it broke his front body mounts on his truck. And I was like, if we had some tape there, we could have taped it and just made it. And he would have probably still bumped up. So it's like things like that. And definitely and also try to have fun. I think people should put the card on and go walk around and meet people. That's important as well. Don't be scared. Just go up and meet people. If you see a driver and you like him, go up and say, hey, what's up, man? I think you're cool. My name's this. And just talk to them because these are all people. If you see, like, and just even like, just like the people that are there, like you, man, they're all happy to meet new people and greet. And you never know who you're meeting. Someone will give you a cool bear. Someone will give you something to eat. You know, next thing you're sitting off talking and you made new friends. That's important as well. I know that's nothing to do with cars, but I think that's very important. And people don't really do that. Enjoy the time there as well. I'm actually going to make sure I do more of that this trip. But yeah, definitely check your stuff. Just make sure nothing's bent, man. Because you never know. You might like, I didn't get hit. Didn't do nothing. But it could be a bent hinge pin. It could be anything. And just go over your car. Everything's working good. Cool. You know, if you have to change clutch bearings, do that. Like, just make sure your car's ready, man. I'm not saying completely rebuild it, but just make sure it's ready.
So Chuck's been messaging me right now, and he's telling me I need to French kiss people. So just so he knows, I will not do that, but I will talk to other people.
I think he's on the other line, but this says Calgary. No, that can't be Chuck. He's in British Columbia. All right. Anything else, dude?
It depends what's the area code. I'm good, man. It's good to catch up. Hopefully you have a good week, and looking forward to listening to the interviews.
Yes, it's going to be fun. And thank you for your support, dude. I appreciate it.
Awesome.
All right.
Hey, when's the Patreon giveaway?
I'm going to do I was trying to do a live video of that, but I can't really do it on my phone for some reason on YouTube. Maybe I'll have to do it. Maybe I'll have to do like a private group, I don't know, on Facebook and do it. Or just do the video and do it. I'm going to give away the autograph pamphlet, one of the autograph tires, and the autograph Untitled body. So it's gonna be 3 things I'm giving away.
That's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, hopefully somebody in North America wins it, so it doesn't cost it ain't hard to ship it. But hey, wherever it goes, whoever gets it, whoever wins it, they will get it.
Awesome, man. So have a good one, and talk soon.
All right, bye. Thanks, Kevin. Talk to you later.
Cheers.
Bye-bye. And good evening. Welcome to the NNRC hotline.
Good evening. You talking to me?
What's up, Chris? How are you?
I'm good, buddy. How are you?
I'm all right. Did you do some racing this weekend?
Oh, yeah, I did. I got to do some dirt racing this weekend, some nitro.
Oh, did you go up to the, where was that race this weekend that I saw everybody go into? What track was it that you guys went to?
I don't know. I raced in Bislow this weekend at East Orange County.
Okay.
Just a little local race.
All right. Yeah. I've been to that track.
Yeah, some dudes were practicing at Strickland. I think Mills had a little race, but it wasn't anything any big deal.
All right. So what's
you know?
You see any gators this week?
Oh, nothing. No gators, man.
I'm worried about pythons now too. Yeah.
Yeah, I just hope the gators eat them. That's
yeah, I don't know about Florida, man. Pythons, gators, lionfish.
Yeah, but year-round RC racing.
When it ain't raining.
Yeah, that's true.
So
definitely rained a lot.
So what's going on, man? Talk to me. You got a question? We ain't got Rupert here this weekend, but you have a question or anything you want to, talk about RC?
Yeah, I got absolutely. So basically there's like a ton of races this year. Have you kind of noticed that?
Well,
or is it just because it's my first year racing pass? Because, like last year I was wanting to do race time events and some, the Force series, but that was kind of a lot. I mean, that's 8 races total, and then there's 4 other Force races. And now